a reference point in moving picture, as it's the first time that this play has been done as a feature film. It will go over the heads of some because they are uneducated about this work. But I am glad to see that many of your followers are exposed to understanding the concepts and thematics displayed in our film. It truly is a work of art. Thank you so much, Mo. And hi and welcome. My name is Mr. C of Iroka Critic, and welcome to Nollywood Film Club podcast. I am your presenter. Today we will be discussing a film only the smartest amongst you can grab. Many of us in film clubs don't have the IQ. I can attest to that. But we let them anyway because film club is just about people discussing films regardless of backgrounds or knowledge of people's works and depth in thematics and concepts. But this was an interesting discussion to say the least. I hope you enjoyed Nollywood Film Club discussing Elesin Oba.
Here, welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We discuss Nollywood movies every Sunday, 6 o'clock West African time. Today, we are discussing Elesin Oba, the new Nollywood Netflix original. Okay, we will discuss the good, we'll discuss the bad, and we'll do a summary for whoever is on board. All right, so Vanessa, do you want to start us off?
Okay. That's
Tell
why
us
I came
the things
early.
you loved. Tell us the things you loved about this.
Loved is a very strong word.
All right, the good things. Yeah.
Thankfully, I have notes. I actually have a list because I didn't want to go off on a tangent for this one. So here's my list. So my first one is there's a massive raffia hat that an extra wears in that village market scene. Yeah, I just want to say that hat. Gorgeous. I want that hat. It's actually my first, like literally, I paused the screen and I went back like 2 times just so I could see that hat. That hat was gorgeous. Um segueing off of the hat, that market scene, the entrance scene was beautiful. The indigo pits, the tomato and onions. I know it seems weird to mention tomato and onions, but the tomato looks really fresh. Um the rare was really beautiful. Triumphant entrance scene. I really liked that scene. Um the opening scene, the first scene in the film, did a really good job at, well, I don't know how really I'm saying, but like it did a good job at establishing the elections womanizing nature. Ashebo Bombele ni manye. And because of that opening scene, it made sense when he became enthralled with okay, especially as he was thinking with his penis. Wèrè man yẹn wèrè ní pé òun fẹ́ kí ara ẹ̀ òun fúyẹ́. Just a big harlot. The mini tantrum that he threw, and I guess continued throwing throughout the whole day while the Yaloja was considering the decision to give basically her prospective daughter-in-law over to him, just felt very in keeping with what we were told was his irresponsible nature. Granted, today was his day, I guess. The day was his day, but he obviously was sulking like a child over just because of a piece of tail. I don't know. The music was really beautiful. I felt like it did almost more for the film than the dialogue did. I honestly would have much rather had them speak in song over the dialogue. The gong sounds were and yeah, My next point is Stan Shafibelo for clear skin. I feel like I don't need to go into heavy detail. Just Shafi was a highlight for me in this. I really enjoyed her performance in this. I also liked Odunade's performance as well enough. It wasn't a revelation of by any means, but it served the purpose for this film and the character, and more importantly for me though, just solidified his abilities and his range as a dramatic actor. And so I was just happy to see that for him. And my final good, again, is Stan Shafibelo for clear skin.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks, Vanessa. Yeah, there were certainly a lot of I don't know about that hat you're talking. Look out for it. But nice to hear. Shout out to Shafi. I did think she was quite good in this. I thought she was one of the more exceptional performances in this. But yeah, thanks anyway. Eniola, do you want to tell us the stuff you like? By the way, before Eniola, you tell us, if you want to speak, please just request the mic and give you access. But yes, Eniola, please tell us the things you liked about Elesin Oba.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. So the very first thing I liked about the movie was, as the first speaker has said, I liked the entrance of the movie. It was intriguing. It kept me captivated. Like, I was okay. Let's see what they want to do. And the grant thing, probably because I've read the story. I've read the script, so I know the old story about the death, the death and the king's horseman. So made me want to know more about what they wanted to do. So I was looking out for every detail in that movie, and I liked the grand entrance. I liked Shafi's Bello performance. It was marvelous. And then I liked Deyemi Okonlawon's performance too. It was more of less word, more action. There was this, he played this character that was speaking with action, not even words. I think that's the only thing for me that was good in that film.
Okay. Thank you, Eniola. I think T. Do you want to say the things you liked about Elesin Oba?
I think I'll be as short as Eniola, to be honest, because the things that were good about the movie were quite short. But I liked the aspect that Nigerian cinema is becoming more comfortable with playing culture to a high quality. If we can have more movies in Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, other native languages, and have the translation, I think I'd rather prefer that rather than speaking in English. Also, I liked the color in the movie used. It was quite good. Another thing I did quite weird was the maturity in which they displayed nudity. It wasn't sensationalized or anything. I like that maturity about it. Yeah, and the actors played their character well with what they had, so that's good. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, T. Who else we have? I think you can tell us the stuff you loved about Elesin Oba. Again, anyone who wants to say anything they liked about this, please ask for the mic, and I shall grant. But Shagun, tell us.
Hi, good evening, guys. Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So initially, when I was the buzz on Twitter, then there was back and forth negative stuff, and I didn't really understand what it was about. But now that I've watched it, I've come to understand that I wouldn't call it. The film strikes me. I don't know what to call it. It feels like it wants to be a musical, but it's not a musical. So like I described it, it's sort of like I don't know what the name for this kind of film is. Sort of like this tragedy of Macbeth. So it's pretty much. It looked to me like it was pretty much a translation of the stage film as opposed to a film that was shot, that was adapted from a book or a story or something. It was just a translation of the stage to outdoor environment. That's what it looked to me. So with that, bearing that in mind, I think it's easier to appreciate certain things. So from what I saw, the the actors put quite a impressive performance. DNC was quite stellar for this particular type of for the character he portrayed. Odolade, as always, I mean, he doesn't miss when it comes to Yoruba stuff, so no surprises there. I was the whole setting of the white man's part of town and all that was good. The ball was decent. Overall lighting, cinematography was decent. I like the display of it overdone. That was quite good. Costuming, I cannot speak so much to costuming because I'm not from that part of town, so I wouldn't know whether there's a hit or miss in that part of the film. So I can't speak to that, but I mean everything looked quite interesting and colorful. Audio, yeah, I'm very particular about audio, and audio was quite decent. And ambient sounds and the music and the audio engineering was pretty much okay. What else was the good that I liked? Yeah, I mean, I like the costuming of the foreigners. The foreign actors did quite well. And what else? Yeah, yeah, that's about it. The opening scenes, the market square setup, and all that, they're quite all right. That's as far as it is for me for the good part of it.
All right, thanks, Sharon. I think we're going to have a debate later on, but I look forward to it. I always like hearing your opinions. And who else? Baba Femi, do you want to tell us the things that you liked about Elesin Oba?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you. Are we just saying what we liked at this?
Yeah, at this juncture. So like the way we do it here is like we all go around saying the things we like and
Hello. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, I thought it cut out. Okay, yes. Okay, well, I guess everyone has said mostly what I wanted to say about the what I liked. There was something I was going to say. It was about, yes, how apt it was with the play. So I never actually read Death and the King's Horseman. So when this, saw the trailer and everything, I was very interested in watching it because it's one of those things, if you can't read it, then you just watch it. So what I liked with it was the fact that it kind of really just stuck with the play. And I don't have to go back. I did have to see a summary because there were a few bits that were off, that I wasn't really clear about. And I guess, maybe later on in the discussion, if that comes up, so I wouldn't want to say that now. But what I liked was that everything was really so it just an exact depiction of what was in the play. It was the dialogue as well. Odunlade is always very performative, so you just feel it. It literally felt and at some point I started wishing that maybe if it had everything had been done on the stage, it would have been a lot more. But it felt like it was a stage play. Like it felt like I was, watching these characters on a stage, which I'm always I always prefer watching stage plays. So that's how it felt for me. And I like that they kind of just kept that energy in the film itself. How that resonated with like people and just generally as a contemporary piece, that's different. But as a kind of for what the essence of the play was, and I think how Wole Soyinka wrote it, I think it was a very close or near exact replica of it, and I think that was good. Something.
All right, thanks, Bafemi. Sorry, did you say you had read the play or you hadn't read the play?
I haven't read the play. I just read a summary of all of the.
Okay, so you think what you saw matched really well with the summary that you saw?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yes. I think it could. I think it could have been. I don't. I think it was exact based on like the dialogue and the summary. I don't. So because it was first written as a play and then it's now being put as a film, there were parts that were missing in interpretation. So it felt like what they did was they just took the play and then they made everything exactly into a film. But then when you put into context the fact that with a film, you have other elements like sight you don't really get in the play. When you're watching it, there are some bits that can be missing. So, for example, I didn't understand that the Elesin was kind of hesitant to do what he wanted to do, what he needed to do. I didn't get that in the film until I read the summary and then I saw that was sort of depicted in when it was written in the play, that he was reluctant. I didn't see that reluctance in the film. So that was so it was more about the interpretation, where it was kind of just like an exact, like, the dialogue and the scenes and the acting and every single thing, the dramatization was exact. Based on what the summary I read anyways, it felt exact, but then up until the point of the interpretation, it wasn't in that aspect.
Okay. I think there's actually going to be a very interesting dialogue about adapting screen theater plays for the screen for film. This is obviously not the first time it's been done. We'll talk about how well it does this and whether it could have done something better or more. But yes, for me, therefore, for the contribution. All right, Ayinka, do you want to tell us the things you liked about Elesin Oba?
Yeah. So I thought Odunlade did very well. I thought his performance was good. I also am glad that Miss Shafi Bello was doing a different type of role than normally she plays, and I think she well. I really like the fact it all. Now speaking about theater, because the Yoruba tradition, right? Not just Yoruba tradition, but there's a theater history, and like the history of performance that can be considered theater in some form, as is very long and then into our culture, not just only like in Yoruba land, and the fact that he used the people that are singing the Oriki, right? First of all, I think they went to actually found people who actually know how to sing Oriki and how to do Oriki, because I cannot do it. I cannot do Oriki. And it's beautiful. And again, the way that some of these people use the language, it is beautiful. The way it's also written, it's kind of like a Greek chorus, and it's wonderful to see that they translated that onto film. And I liked it. I also liked the costuming. It was beautiful. The actors that I say I might have a little bit of an issue with, but I also don't particularly concern. It didn't really bring me completely out. Was necessarily, I have to say, they are better foreign actors than normally they are in Nigerian movies. One kind of also took me out, but then again, I can't say maybe it's the way some of the dialogue was written between her and Deyemi when he was speaking, when they were speaking about the decoration of our culture by wearing that for a costume, something. Even I wouldn't lie. The first time I saw them, the white people in it, it's not because they are white and they are wearing that. No, it's just the fact that they were wearing it and they are doing waltzing, and and they were about to go into have sexual intercourse while wearing it, and it was so offensive to me. It was very, very offensive. It was very, very offensive. I just couldn't believe it. It jarred me, and and when they were having that conversation, it was a conversation that needed to be had. It was something that was always going to be pointed out, right? With the camera moved on them doing when we originally said them, the director's view was telling us that this is a bad thing. So obviously it was going to come talked about later on. I just felt like the dialogue was not written very well in that position. It felt a little clunky. And it felt like the performance of it was a little clunky. I don't know whether it was the dialogue that was written or maybe it was maybe they should have just done a retake. I don't know, but it felt a little clunky. Or maybe it's just my own interpretation. But all those things, I find it to be, it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie if you compare it to other stage plays that has been made into a movie. This is usually how they are. There's just going to be more dialogue. There's just going to be more people standing. It's the way, more recent stage plays turn into movies. I mean, they were in one room. And it was a lot of talking. And I don't mind it. I'm okay with it. I like it. And it was, I think this movie was pretty good in that way. It was a pretty good movie. It wasn't bad. The poetry from the Yoruba was beautiful. I also want to give props to the fact that of the people that are translating its language and subtitling it's a very difficult and nuanced work, and you have to be able to translate what the meaning of what the person is trying to exactly say within this cultural context to another cultural context. And you also have to meet the match. Your subtitle also has to meet the match of what the speed of how the dialogue is going and not confuse people in all that. And I thought, wow, they really put in more work than many Nigerian movies have ever put into. This is a lot, or even if you watch Korean, if you watch a lot of different things, they put a lot of work in. This one was actually very much work. So I want to hail the people that did that, because it's not easy. It really isn't easy to, especially with a very deep and layered meaning language like Yoruba. Yeah, it was beautiful. Yes, I would say, but that may be a bad thing, because I agreed with I'm so sorry, Obafemi in something. Yeah, I would say there was the hesitancy of the Elesin Oba. The translation of him not having some sort of reluctance because of his love for life was not, I do not think was actually very much put well there. I didn't even really see it as much. But that doesn't take away from this movie. Well, the interpretation wasn't as put in there, but I still think this movie was very, very lovely. It was still great. The cinematography, it was beautiful. It doesn't do see trick. It doesn't. The cinematography was appropriate for the type of movie that it was trying to make. Were there choices that because sometimes you see cinematography in a movie and you're like, it's. I will go back to Blonde. Blonde cinematography, amazing. They did a lot of different things. The technical thing is amazing, but it made no interpretations way. It made no sense. It was more of showing off your skill, and for the movie they're making, it's just like, okay, I can see your skill and I can see a lot of work went into this, and I appreciate that, but why? It's not necessary. But right. Those are the things I can say. The movie was beautiful. It was good. It was good.
All right, thanks, Monica. I just want to let you know, if you don't want to come up and speak, you can just make a comment on the Nollywood Film Club, and we'll share some of the commentary going on. We have a couple of people on. I think Elizabeth, please tell us the things you enjoyed.
Hi. Okay. What do I enjoy, or what do I like? First, I think it would be the colors. So first time when I saw the trailer first, I was very skeptical because the moonlight, the moonlight lighting was a bit off. But I mean, then watching the movie itself and the choice of the artistic, or should I say direction, or the way it was aligned in a theater format. So I'll give that a pass because I feel like it's including that they were going for, because a lot of it was shot at night. So I was thinking, well, okay, that works ish. So I'm not. So maybe that's the one thing. I know it's 12 for me now, so because I'm not I'm not saying it's the best thing about this movie, but at the same time, I think that's one thing that I did not expect to work. But in the thematically, I would say that it worked for me. What else did I like? A little bit of the. I wanted to use the word world building, but I'm struggling here because I don't think the world building exactly works. But I like that. I like to see when we have like a period, apart from general filmmaking, in like a period piece. I like to see the clothing, the trade, the food, all of which I saw. So that works for me. So I'm probably going to put that to set design. What else worked for me? I think that the premise of this story in general, I would have liked if it was in another format, and I'll explain. Thematically, I think the idea. Now, before I watched this, the last time I read this book was probably some 20 years ago. So I probably do not have the memory, and I've probably seen the stage play maybe once again. So I'm going in here like semi-blind while I watched it. So because I really just want to see the movie itself without, having like the original material influencing my thinking. Just want to and consume the medium in which he's being given. But apparently, I didn't know that I was going to get the same medium, same theater medium sort of. So when I watched it, I think thematically the idea, because it worked, death as a central theme here. I'm struggling here, guys. For me, but I liked that thematically the premise of the death as a central theme. The masquerade, first we foreshadowed with the masquerade with the Pixies, is that their name? when they wore the clothes for the dead, that was the first foreshadowing of what they were doing, messing with death. That I like the symbolism of the messing with death in that scene with the masquerade dress. That I thought that if this movie was made in the film format, could have really clinched it. There was a scene where after the wedding and then time for the burial, or rather time for the him going to die, there were the masquerades dancing again. If this wasn't a proper film format with good direction, with good cinematography, I thought that was symbolism. It, it was it was a good plot device, right? Putting in death as a central theme and then depicting it, and then how people mess with death. Of course, again, these are two different mediums, right? We're talking about play medium and then film medium, and then here we have the two words collide in. I don't know if it was in a good way, because we're bringing in this medium and then trying to show it in film format. No, but not in film. We're really just doing stage. No, but that's one thing that when I saw that thing, I thought that this was a missed opportunity, but it's also something that worked for me. Again, it could have been greater, better, fantastic if this was done, elsewhere in a film format. So messing with death, the premise of messing with death, with duty, with again, I'm saying all of this from what I got from watching. This is not whatever Shrinka has written or the play or anything. I've probably not read the play before. I have just let's just assume I have not. So that's one thing that I really like: the death, duty, and then foreshadowing, and then messing with death and messing with destiny, and this need for us to shed our culture, tradition, or rather coming to a place and trying to upset what has always been. Um, so that's one of the acting. Honestly, for me, I felt like the acting was passable, honestly, because it wasn't really translating in this format for me. I think that Shafi Bello and Odunlade, I thought that was quite an okay. I like the music. I like the music. That's another thing that I liked. I like the music. I like the lots. I like again, I would have said theater format working. Like, there should be a way to incorporating the audience. Now I'm using the word audience, but like the people part of the people in the chorus sing for Elesin, sing for Yaloja, sing for the Virgin. That was, I thought all of that worked for me personally. I thought the dirge at the end after the untimely after the death rather. Not time, no. After death, I thought Brimo's Arumoru, I thought it was quite fitting. Also, for all the things that I like.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth, pointing out the theme of death. It certainly seemed like something they wanted to discuss. How well it was discussed, I think we can have a discussion about that discussion. All right. Timmy, do you want to tell us the things you liked about Elesin Oba?
Well, okay, I don't know where I will start from, but okay, the first thing that I would say caught my attention regarding the movie were the colors, because I've seen Biyi Bandele's other films like what's it called, Half of Yellow Sun, and I realized like, I'm sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I've watched Biyi Bandele's film Half of Yellow Sun, and I was like, oh wait, similar. So the colors were like the first thing that caught my eye because it was so well done. It wasn't giving the whole, is it orange and teal, the whole Kunle Afolayan vibe that we get to see. It was more colorful and more, especially the way putting the costumes and the adires, the tie and dyes. That was the one thing I loved. Also, the night scenes. The night scenes probably one of the best shots that I have seen in Nollywood, because Nigeria will try to say they want to do night scene, but then it will be so difficult for you to see your subject well. But the lighting in this movie, it was brilliant, in my opinion. Regarding the story itself, which is what I think the whole, problem is, I would say I really enjoyed the movie because I did not know what to expect. I did not know what to expect. But then at the beginning, when they showed Odulade, when they began the movie with Odulade in the center frame and those women around him, in my mind I was like, is this a stage play? But then as the movie went on, from the beginning, the way they carried the um, movie from the beginning scene to the end with music, that was what confirmed my thoughts that, oh, this is a stage play. Even around was the props, the way they placed. I remember there was a particular shot, what's it called? There was a wheelbarrow where they placed the wheelbarrow. I don't think in a live action normal movie, they would have put that wheelbarrow in that place. But I think because B wanted to like represent this film as what's it called, as a stage play, that was why they put that wheelbarrow there. Maybe it's just me that is thinking too deep on it. But yeah, I liked the way he ended up, you know, depicting the story, because like I said initially, I did not know what to expect. But B was able to successfully transfer the elements in the play that make it a play. He was able to successfully transfer it on film. And I know people here, they might have expected more regarding entertainment and this thing. But I don't think Wale Soyinka is the type of person who he like, there's a reason his works are critically acclaimed. So if you now want to go and add your own oversabi, you're basically, staining what he spends his life working on. And Brimo, yes, I should not forget Brimo, because Brimo's voice. This was the first time I was ever hearing Brimo speak, and I was surprised that his speech sounded so similar to his music voice. The end scene where the guy was singing, I almost wanted to cry, because Brimo's voice was, I think it was one of the best things I enjoyed in the movie. One of the best things I enjoyed in the movie. Overall, regarding Elesin Oba, I would say it is the best film I have watched that has been released. The best, not in my opinion, because it was so well put together. It was people, and okay, admittedly, yes, people are complaining about the way they did it, but the perspective I will give on it is, if this Mona Lisa, the painting, it's a painting, yeah, but if they give an artist, let's say like a group of art students, okay, you see this painting, do it in your own way, and a student comes to give it to me as, let's say, a sculpture instead of a painting, I would be impressed, because it's medium to portray that artwork. The same way, Biyi Bandele, he could have gone for the normal way of telling the story that everybody was expecting, but he shocked all of us by giving us a stage play, and he did it well. It was so evident that a lot of time and attention was put into this. Somebody was even mentioning the people who were singing the praises, and those being cared, because not only were their voices beautiful, the way they handled the Yoruba language. Honestly, I feel like if I'm going to talk about all the things that I loved about this film, I don't think we would get here early. But yeah, that is all I think about Election. I don't think I have anything negative to say about the film, because I enjoyed every single thing about it. Okay. Wait. The one
Wait,
thing I
no.
did.
If it's negative, it's not the time of using a bit. But yes,
Okay. I'm
just
sorry.
all right. No, no
Okay, then.
problem.
That's all.
All right. Thanks, Oluwatimi. It's always nice to hear people talk passionately about things they enjoy. That's the round. Miss C, what did you like about Elesin Oba?
Okay, so I don't know, Mr. C might fight me on this later, but I did like the colors in this. I liked Olajumo's acting. I thought it was good. I thought Shafi was good as well. I can't remember who mentioned it being a deviation. I think it was Ian kind of says a deviation from what she's been playing recently, and I agree, and I really liked it. Then what else did I like? Mommy Dada, Best in Beauty. I just had to point it out. And this is like kind of a mid, right? It's just the what's it called? The district of, and the acting wasn't the worst. So it's kind of a mid, but usually when we cast white people in our films, they're atrocious. So it wasn't the worst. So yeah, that's good for me. I thought some of the frames looked nice. Mr. C might find me on this again. I thought some of the frames looked nice, but they looked very much like a stage. And it's both a good and a bad for me because I seeing theater recently, and so I do like theater framing. I do like the stage setup and all of that. So I did enjoy some of those frames. So yeah, sometimes when it was given theater, I didn't mind it as much. It's both a good and a bad, but yeah. I think Jide Kosoko's acting improved when he was speaking Yoruba. I enjoyed the scene of them beating up the policeman. That was kind of fun. That I kind of liked. What else? I know there's a bit of thingy on the night scenes, but I did like that I didn't see that weird fog. I've seen too much weird fog in night scenes, so it was kind of nice that I didn't see that. I really enjoyed the praise singers. That was a proper like for me. I really, really enjoyed that. Every time they were singing, I really enjoyed it. So that was really good. Sorry, my notes are a bit jumbled. Yeah, okay, that's it.
Okay, I think in addition to some of the things that have been mentioned, let me not say in addition because I don't agree with every of the good that everybody has said. But so if I was saying my own personally, I would say I do like that it has a different look to like to me said with the orange and teal type of things we're more accustomed to. It's just a different way to there's a different way to show this this type of this kind of films. Whether it was the prettiest, I don't know, but it's just nice to see something somebody go their own way. There is a Brimo's the soundtrack. Brimo's soundtrack was amazing. It have like the soundtrack used to basically like be part of the story, and I feel like that's such a deeply Nollywood. If we want to talk about maybe having some sort of identity, I think that's something that we could have owned. And I know, like maybe maybe a different version of it would be saying that singing the words or singing lyrics or describing things going on in the film that you're watching might be too on the nose. Something that has to be on the nose, and I think the way even like it's used here is good. It just feels like a different character. I wish it was even used a little bit more. It felt like the voice of the village at the time it was being used, just coming out in the form of a soundtrack. And so, like, I wish we did more things like that. That would feel for me like closer to something that feels like a Nollywood entity. But aside that, I thought Shafi was good. I really enjoyed a lot of the quieter performances, and even like the stern ones. Maybe there were times where like it stayed at 10 for way too long that it starts to lose its shine. But Shafi was somebody I certainly enjoyed the performance of. It clearly like took a lot to like puts this production, you know. I mean, anytime I like see even horses, like I'm like, all right, people have said to spend some more money, and the ball and all of that looked nice. And so I think there were some production things here that looked nice. I thought Shafi's acting was decent. I really liked that primary singing. I think that's about it from me. All right, so we'll say Cynthia is phew. Cynthia, I thought we were going to do this without Cynthia, but Cynthia is in. I'll read something somebody sent in, but Cynthia, please go on.
Okay, we're in the likes, right?
Yes, we're in the likes.
Okay, yeah. So, what do I like about this movie? I'm so sure someone have said it. My major like was the market square setup. So, I don't know. I just like seeing food. So I like that I saw food. I saw the wool weaving, the tie and dye. It was like pleasing to see. It was just it that um I couldn't appreciate it properly because I was seeing it in flashes. It was like maybe the book wrote everything happened in a market square and they just have to be a market. Yeah, but I actually liked it, but I just did not appreciate it properly. And it's also the same reason why the wedding, when they were turning the amala and the whole thing, I also liked it, but at the same time, it's like it just have to be there because the book said they're probably prepared for weddings. So I could not fully appreciate it, but I definitely just enjoy seeing food in movies. So it's in my like. Then my second like is it has to do with I think audacity and boldness. So it's not in the movie. I just appreciate the boldness to decide to make a lot of money in doing it. So yeah, that is all for me for my like.
All right, thanks, Cynthia. I'm just going to read in a like that came through. My likes is from TFR. She sent hers in. Odulande's acting, Shafi Bella's acting, the traditional songs, the Bobo. Okay. Okay, so like let's pivot into the things that we had issues with, and not to be. Let me just kick us off with one. The death at the end for me is. I laughed at the end when he killed himself because like that's suicide. I don't even know. I don't know how you write that, to be honest, because he was supposedly hanging himself with the chain, but like with his hand. I don't know how. I don't know how they pictured it happening. I know they didn't show it, but like they showed us like the way he was trying to do it. I don't know how you do that because like if you so use your hand to hang yourself, your hand will get tired now before you fall. I don't know. It's silly, and I'm sure that was not the intent they were going for. But having started that off, let's go to other people stuff. Vanessa.
Also, you just
Hi.
kick it off, but you don't give me a chance.
Hey, well, sorry, Mrs. C.
Vanessa, are you speaking? I can't hear you.
I'm here. Mrs. C wanted to speak, so I was like, let
Is it
me.
just me? Can anybody else hear Vanessa? Is it just us?
I can hear Vanessa.
Okay.
Thank you, Rico. Okay, so I'm just gonna kick it off. I'm gonna do sort of what I did last week with Tainted Canvas, where I'm gonna start off of like a very petty dislike. It's not anything serious. If you take it serious, then that's on you. But it's just a very petty one because there's still more heavy stuff to get into, anyways. So my first bad is I immediately got the ick from hearing it's a funny life in this film. I don't know. I just think it's time for a new intro clip slash thing. I don't know. It genuinely just threw me off. Especially because having read the synopsis, having read the play, you understand that this is serious subject matter. And just I don't know, that tune just comes off as like super I don't know. I just think it's time for a change. A fresh intro clip. That's all. Um Next is the beard. The beard on Elesin Oba was an atrocity. That beard was giving Eleshi claws. A little trimming here and there would have gone a very long way to help it look like less of cotton wool. Um, but yeah, that was my petty bads. Then we can get into the more serious, heavy stuff. So I just want to preface this by saying the this is sort of a pushback on people who had the videos. And this is not a dislike per se from me. It's just mainly it didn't do anything for me, right? I think if it made sense with the hedonistic display that was that initial scene. I mean, it fit in with the scene. However, was it needed? Not necessarily. I mean, female, this is me, this is has nothing necessarily to do with the film. I just think as a whole, on a much more macro scale with regards to Nollywood, the gratuitous display of female nudity in more recent times, especially when it's not justifiable with regards to the storytelling or feels a tad irrelevant, um, and not just for shock value, it honestly is just beginning to become a bit tiring. Like, I get it. That scene was a hidden thing. It made sense that they were topless. However, did it do anything for the storytelling for the film? No. But that's just me. Anyone else can feel however they choose to feel. My next point is
Sorry, I just have like to add. What's the thing with nudity, but like you're not going to show kissing? Nicolako did this as
thank you.
well.
Because I was gonna continue with that, but I said let me keep quiet. I was gonna like there was a whole sex scene later on in this film that was
He had his
immensely
hat on,
awkward.
right?
Yeah, he had his hat on. That's on my
Like
list.
immensely awkward, and had zero anything to that resembled sex. And yet you were so gratuitously displaying breasts in the first scene. I would appreciate a little consistency, is all I'm saying. But we're going to move on. We're not going to overflog this dead horse. The film, in my opinion, the songs that we all love by the praise singers did enough explaining, right? And it just felt like we didn't need the dialogue to do the same, which is where it becomes clunky. And this comes, I'm assuming, from attempting to stick as close as possible to the source material. However, the source material was a play, and changes could have been made to make this feel like less of a like direct rendition and a regurgitation, and more like the arrest scene was incredibly underwhelming, and not just that scene. Much of the film was severely underwhelming. But pivotal scenes like the election's arrest, which was what was preventing him from doing his duty, a scene where the fate of a man, his son, and a people were invariably changed, was this rushed and surprisingly melodramatic was the the center of this whole thing, wasn't it? It wasn't the beginning where he was dancing. It wasn't even the wedding. It wasn't even the ball. It was the scene where these people prevented a man from doing his duty, and it fell flat. That was what this whole film was hanging on. And it was flat and bland and incredibly unsatisfying. Tried to pull emotion out of the audience many times with Elesin's dramatic fall to the ground, and Deyemi's Alatenuje line, but it failed woefully, which was a recurring theme with this film for me. I felt nothing. And I feel like I've said this multiple times on this space, that in my opinion, I believe that a lot of things like film, books, music, works of art are intended to make you feel things. And this did not make me feel anything. I genuinely, not the anger, not the pain, not even a tad bit of disgust for the election's irresponsibility. I felt nothing. The play had heart. The play certainly had heart. But none of that heart was found in this film. Not even the enthusiasm / excitement / inspiration. I don't know whatever emotion they wanted to elicit from us when Elesin was giving his rousing speech in the holding cell. It did nothing. It felt like nothing. And that's incredibly sad. Sorry, side question. Did the soldier in the cell with Elesin understand Yoruba, speak Yoruba? I don't know. It just was an interesting choice that was made. But this is the part where I get on my soapbox and preach a bit. And before the literature buffs, let me just say I quite frankly do not care. I am not and this is no disrespect to Professor Wole Soyinka, I'm not particularly a huge fan of his work. I can count on my fingers how much of his work I enjoy. However, making elitist remarks, a lot of elitist remarks have been flying around since this film premiered, and audiences have had reactions to it. Making elitist remarks and saying that the audience needs to understand the theory of the fourth stage is all a crock of bull. Many a play, many a piece of literature that are considered classics, think Jane Eyre, The Great Gatsby, Anna Karenina, The Count of Monte Cristo, Cyrano, many a piece of literature that are considered classics have been adapted for screen. And the audience has not required a theatre or literary education to understand, connect with, or enjoy these adaptations. It is lazy in a defense of a poorly adapted piece of literature. But then again, when the source material is just as highfalutin, it makes sense that these are the bullshit excuses that we are getting. Now, on to how this film poorly adapted the play. Now, what a movie adaptation does most times is give/bring life to the depth that sometimes may be sorely missing in characters and plot lines. Like Elizabeth mentioned, a huge part of the play. And it almost felt like the way they removed death from the title of this film, they removed it from the entire film as well. Tiny little flashes that we have to make inferences from as to what these themes are in the film, based on whatever previous knowledge that we might have, does not do enough to explore a theme that is central to this piece. This is as explaining the connection between the Elesin's lost/greed and his eventual ruin, an opportunity that this adaptation failed to take and give this story flesh. Another theme that could have been explored is the white man's disregard for indigenous cultures and traditions. A couple lines here and there, a brief monologue by Olunde was not enough to explore that topic. Honestly, this film just left a lot unanswered, a lot to be desired. I can deal with feeling whelmed, not overwhelmed. I can feel with just being whelmed. but I was severely underwhelmed with this adaptation of Death and the King's Horseman.
I feel like we could close and go now.
No, I think, like, by the way, if anyone wants to challenge anything anybody has said or think, feel free. Please come up. Very much. It's actually interesting, this thing about adapting to stage and all of that. That you said, the elitist sort of pushback. I think that's normal for anytime any big thing comes out that people don't like, you get some sort of pushback that doesn't actually address any of the things that the people are saying that is wrong with it. But so I'm not particularly bothered about that. But interesting was this. I think one of the things even Mrs. C's likes was about like it coming into stage, and it kind of has a stage play look and very. It looks that way from that first, especially that first part, which everybody has mentioned. And so maybe it wants to do a stage play thing, but then again, you throw in a drone shot or two, and then you'd have a crane sweeping shot. It's like, it's not really sure where it wants to. Close-ups that are, it just feels weird and not. I don't know why we have a close-up of this particular shot, but yeah, cinematography wasn't what I would call it for me at all. It just didn't seem. It really did seem like somebody translated. It clearly the words were there from the play, and they said the words, but like it doesn't have a coherent soul. It just feels like when you copy somebody's assignment. For me, like that's for me, like, and you didn't really understand everything, but like, oh, he wrote this one here, he wrote this one, and like, to be honest, adapting something from to the screen is always going to be difficult. So I understand why some things may not work, but like saying that it worked is an interesting take. Anyway, but Vanessa, Baba Femi, please tell us.
Hi, thank you. To be honest, Vanessa has said literally everything. I don't think there's anything much extra I would need to add or even kind of dispute from what she has said. What I just wanted to add was to say that I think that what happened was so when you take like a body of work that, and it's literally pretty much already done, so all you're going to do is just, I don't know, cut some scenes together, cut some lines together, and break it down and slap some things together and then put that out there. But just like almost everyone has said, the heart and the meat of it is completely missing, and that is what people will point out. And that's what I think we always keep missing with Nigerian films, that just always miss everything, is you can, it's very sad to see, because previously I would say if all we did with Nigerian films was just to take all of the books we have, because we have really amazing authors in Nigeria, and if we just take those books and we adapt them into films, and then we'd have really great films. But this is quite obviously showing that that's not the case. So it's now coming into the interpretation and how much work we're actually putting into that interpretation. There are many different Batman. The recent Batman one that literally encapsulates what Batman is, and that's the kind of thing that we need. So when it comes to the film, what's the interpretation? What are people taking from it? I'm literally, like I said, I never read the book. So all of the core themes of what Death and King's Horseman is, I didn't really get that until I watched the film. And I'll go ahead and read like a brief synopsis of everything to try and understand what it was supposed to be about. And the core theme of death, completely missing.
And so now the question now is how was it supposed to have been portrayed in the film? How could it have been? It's not something that is very literal that you can see and feel and touch, because all of those other elements and beats were there, but there was still something missing. And you can actually, because you're not deep enough to understand it. But people don't go to Netflix to get something that is deep. I don't want to like sit down and have to write an essay on it. Like, and the entire purpose of Death and King's Husband, that's what it was. It was deeply psychological. You had to sit down and think about it and get out the themes and bring out the lessons. But that's the work that you're supposed to do as a creator, I guess, on the back end, to bring it out in such a way that immediately draw out those things and feel what you want them to feel. You're doing all of the works, bringing all of the senses together, which was missing. So I think it was a missed opportunity, but then I also think that it's just like a big lesson ground, I guess, for us to take forward and do something meaningful with it. That's my 2 cents.
All right. Thanks, Baba Femi. All right. Oluwatimi, do you want to what you didn't like, or if you had pushback, Timmy?
Hello. Okay, while I do agree with what the 2 previous speakers have said, I would like to point out that maybe the problem with the whole movie was the fact that it was released on Netflix. Because yes, definitely, nothing would take me to Netflix for some Death and the King's Horseman. This Elesin Oba, it was just circumstances and whatnot. But the point I'm trying to make here is that we have seen countless examples in Hollywood where somebody, a director, would release a movie, kind of like what Biyi Bandele did, and then he receives like a lot of praises and stuff. And I'm not saying, because obviously the main thing you're looking for from a movie is entertainment, which admittedly speaking, I would say this movie kind of lacked. But then I would say films in general have different approaches. Yeah, we have like the whole type of movies that they are going for commercial success, or like their main purpose is to entertain. What's the director? I feel like what he wanted to do was, okay, this is Wale Soyinka's story, and it has already been played out countless times. What can I do to, and wait, I think I'm going off track now. But basically, the point I'm trying to make is that this type of movie, genuinely speaking, I don't think it's something that I would watch on Netflix. So I would say maybe it's being released on Netflix is what the problem was, is where the problem lies, because it wasn't entertaining. But calling it a bad movie, I don't think it's something I would agree with, because the things that I loved about the film was how intentional they were with the performances. That's what I see. That's what I saw in the film that made me like it. In the film was intentional. It was to tell a particular story. And the story was told well, in my opinion, because I understood what happened. Okay, wait. The one thing that I did not understand was how the Elesin died at the end when he killed himself. That also didn't make sense, because I think the time that he could have used to chain himself and the time that he used to open it just wasn't realistic to me. It was more of a Toronto international film. Wherever they premiered the film, I feel like that is where this type of film is supposed to be. But it on Netflix, no. I don't. Yeah. So I think that's just what I want to say.
All right, thanks, Timmy. I would say that like I think any film. I mean, like I think there's some because of like culture. There's some type of film, maybe a cinema versus at home. But like I don't know if Election can play on Netflix, I don't know where else Election can really play because like it's not like the most bombastic entertainment. It's not like this would work better in a cinema, but you like it. But please, if people point out anything wrong with it, don't take it as an affront on you. It just obviously film hits people differently, and they're just great for them. Okay, Eniola, do you want to say some of the things that bothered you?
Okay. Yeah, so as someone rightly mentioned, the person that was saying something about people don't does not understand the whole thing about the fourth state theory. Actually, it got to me to a point that I had to make research on what Shoyinka's fourth stage theory really is. And from what I understood, like it includes the world of the living, the world of the dead, and the world of the unborn. And in accordance with Wale Shoyinka's fourth stage. Now, when we bring this back to the movie, I later got to realize that the person that said that thing is actually part of the story development team, and they just didn't do their assignment, because if they did, the central theme for the movie was removed, and that was what made people not to understand the whole thing about the reasons for the election's death later on, because the death of election later on was as a result of shame, not because of the ritual whatever that they wanted to do. Dialogue, the Iyaloja was supposed to make, that's Shafi Bello, was supposed to make, but I think they removed the dialogue from the whole thing, and then everybody was confused, like why will he die in 14 seconds? It was just because of shame. Because I went back to read the script. I went back to read the play. I've read it before, but I had to go back again to read it. And then now, the whole thing about the fourth state theory, it affected the rite of passage, in the sense that the rite of passage must be completed, and there was from everything. Election has refused to die due to the loss-induced blindness that was showed in the first scene. However, the characters in the movie also, I don't know, but they minimized the catastrophe that is destined to be. Like you are telling us, there is supposed to be a catastrophe if election refuses to die that day, and it is just portrayed in a very bland way that I don't understand. The failure as this is supposed to create this ripple effect that we are supposed to feel it even from our screen, and then everything is just bland. We are just hearing drums, and then the praise singer dancing, blah blah. It just doesn't make sense to me. I didn't feel that thing. That's supposed to be the old climax of the movie before the arrest, and then the arrest, they didn't do anything to stop it. I don't know, the characters, they were just there. Everybody was there in that movie. That was why I said the only character I liked in that play was Shafi Bello, and they, like, every other person was bland in that movie, because this thing, that if this thing doesn't work out, it's supposed to create a catastrophe on the whole community. So, in fact, people can die as a result of that tradition, and then you are just doing nothing to stop it. I didn't understand that place. And then also I wrote that the film was excessively faithful to its source material. That's the old Wale Soyinka's book. Nothing was done to remove anything from that play. It was just, and that was what led it into being a theatrical rendition, because if the director has added his own creative, unique way into the movie to make it a real adaptation, it wouldn't have been more of the stage play we were seeing. It would have been more of a film, not a stage play. The book was a stage play, not a film. Now you want to make it a film. Why were you strict to play? And it was off for me. I just felt it was very, very off. I felt like I was, immediately I saw the movie, I was like, wow, this is the stage play, and it is nothing new. In fact, I have seen the stage play of this particular book. I have seen the stage play by Bolanle Austin Peters, and they did a wonderful job. to me. Now the dialogue between Eleshi and Peel, what's his name? The Pearl Kings or whatever his name is, the district officer. Please, I don't understand. As a Yoruba, I didn't understand some proverbs Election was saying. And I was confused when Perkins was responding because you're supposed to be British, sir, but you understand Yoruba fluently. It got to a point I had to go to the subtitle just to know what they were saying. And then Perkins is understanding everything, even his wife Jane. They seem to understand Yoruba even more than the indigenous Yoruba. So I don't understand that. Please, I've said you should come and explain, but never mind. Now, Brimo character in that movie is a pure waste. I'm sorry to Brimo's fan, but it is a pure waste of character because it was useless in that character. It should have stick to the music thing. Honestly, if the credit was for music, I would have loved it. I totally loved his music in that film. But as a character in that play, it was useless. Then the fiancée, if I want to call her. Now she's supposed to be a shy bride, a bride that is reluctant. I mean, you and your fiancé, you are supposedly arranging your marriage, and then they come tell you that Election wants to have sex with you just one night, which you know that is just for a night. You're supposed to be reluctant, and then you came out, you were smiling, you were dancing. I just didn't understand that part. I did. Why were you smiling? What's funny? That Election wants to sleep with you. You counted it as an honor, and the fact that the fiance was a dummy in that movie. At least, okay. Now this is where I said they adapted the play strictly because at a point in A Reasonable Man's Test, the fiance is supposed to at least create a little bit of distraction by refusing. I don't know, and then the mother will probably have calmed him down or something. But it was just there, and I think please, that was off for me, in my opinion. And then considering that it was a period piece, I felt that the suit of Deyemi was too bespoke. Let me put it that way. It was too modern for that period piece. It's supposed to be a 16th century play, and then you're coming in with a tuxedo. I don't understand why. It was just too much for that character. And so yes, particularly the rhythm. I read the play and I understood that there was a particular rhythm that the lines, the dialogues were supposed to follow. But probably because I think during the story development, they removed some particular lines that were meant to create the climax of the movie, the rising action of the movie. They removed the lines. Now the first one was dialogue between the district officer and his wife Jane. When there were particular lines in that scene that you will have you asking questions like, okay, now what do they want to do? Why are they so against this? What do they want to do next? Like, it will have you wanting to know what they will do. But in this film, it was just there, and everything was just so bland. Then also I think, okay, yes, I think that's it for me. And then I wrote a final comment on that play. The final comment on that play was, it is an empty calabash wrapped in a peacock aesthetics. Yeah, it is beautiful on the surface, but it doesn't take away the allowness of that play. It is very allow. It is shallow. It is just, I won't say it is rubbish, but it's close to. Thank you.
Thank you,
Wow.
Annie.
All right. It's difficult to. It's nice to hear somebody who has read the book.
play, yeah.
Just for perspective, because I don't actually think it's important for. It's not important from my perspective to discussing what is supposed to be an adapted screenplay, because the point of it is that you have you've taken something else and you've adapted it for it. It's supposed to stand on its own, but it's very nice to get the refreshing somebody who has read the book and seen the the theater. I wonder how people that
yeah, I was gonna say on the point of the adaptation being quite faithful to the screenplay, being quite faithful to the play. So I haven't read the play, but I thought, okay, like having a play, already existing would help the script, right? And I thought it would help it be a better film. But yes, when I did watch it and it just turned out to be a play, despite adding play as one of my likes, and it didn't seem like much of an adaptation. Hamilton Stan, love it, seen it twice, and seen it a million times on Disney Plus. On Disney Plus, I see it. It's a recording of the play. Yes, if you told me that was a film, if you told me that recording was an adaptation of Hamilton to film, I would laugh you out of the room.
Yeah,
because it's a play. I like it as the musical. Sorry, it's not play. As the musical adaptation, it's not a film. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks again, Eniola. I think we have. Let's go with Shagun. Shagun, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. First of all, Mr. C, you remember when I said cinematography was good for me? Please be mindful that when I say cinematography, I'm referring to our love for beautiful pictures. I mean, almost every frame looked, in quotes, pretty. That's what I was basically referring to. Eniola has pretty much.
But go on.
Yeah, Eniola has pretty much made most of the points. First of all, that intro scene. Immediately the film started with the whole drone shot of the village rooftops and everything. In my head, because I haven't read the book. I haven't heard this, so I went into this. Okay, let me just enjoy this film like I enjoyed Anikulapo, So that's what I had in mind because I don't think I watched the trailer. So once things started, rooftops, okay, village scene, nice shots, and all that, and then it got to a point where, because for me, I'm very particular about details and establishment. You establish certain things, establish the character, establish what this is going. So I didn't see anything. There was no background to anything. I just saw, okay, is this a musical? And then I went back. I said, okay, it's an adaptation of literature, and it's okay. So at that point, I settled that this was just translation of a stage play because it got to a point. I'm 10 minutes in. I was watching a stage play that they shot in the outside. So I made my peace with that, and I said, okay, let me just, as somebody who is particular for what he missed and what could be done better, and that's pretty much it. Let me just watch it and enjoy it since we're having a film club anyway. So for me, first of all, Ojulade's beard was just ridiculous. I mean, and the funny thing about it was that they showed the beard and they now gave us cutaways of people doing tie and dye and somebody spinning cotton or something. It looked exactly like the beard he was wearing. As in that one it was really crazy. That the next thing that just popped up was some lady what he had on his face. That was ridiculous. I don't know what. And then the timeline. Again, the timelines, I had an issue with timelines, but then again, I said, okay, it's a stage play. So it looks like a stage play because did it happen in one day? Did everything, all this happen from morning and then the wedding and then ritual happened at night? And then I'm like, okay. And then as the way the showed up was quite weird. Again, I had settled that it was stage play, but I mean, like, yes, there was the white people. I said Olunde, we are taking Olunde to the abroad to study medicine and blah blah blah. Fine, and then him showing up in a double-breasted double-breasted suit that looks like something from this era was quite weird, and the way he showed up, and then his dialogue. I think that's where they now really, I think where they missed it. There's so much of the dialogue that the exchange is in English, especially when he now said whether he said the king is dead or something. He was asking somebody that, first of all, his appearance didn't even make sense, because this is somebody that was taken away. He was rescued because whether they locked him up, they didn't want him to learn the ways of the white man, and then Isha got him, according to this white principal, he said we got him on the next boat out to the abroad, and then he shows up and nobody is surprised. Nobody is, just that one guy is yarning with that one. I mean, that was, and all these things, I'm not saying that they're necessarily bad, and for me, I'm just like, they looked weird, even though this thing is like an adaptation or a translation of stage play to film. But even at that, for as far as filmmaking is concerned, it's quite weird. It was just out of place. Parts where the steward was talking to whether is it the cook or something, and then there was a part where he said some things and then just walked off. Normally in that kind of thing would be dismissed. That was, for me, that was a miss. When Amusa came in to give his report, again, the dialogue, how he's understanding the English perfectly and how they're understanding themselves perfectly is just ridiculous to me. And I'm very, like I said, I'm very particular about certain details. When you're doing establishment shots and details, go and write your report on that note. Whether how Amusa knows how he understands English and how he is reading and writing English, how he spent 10 seconds writing the report is beyond me. Writing something on the paper and left. That for me was just, it sets me off. The killing of the dog, which later they explained further down the line that yes, the king's dog has been, they killed the king's dog to go with him, they've killed the king's horse to go with him, blah blah blah. But the killing of the dog was just somehow, you show the particular angle of the dog, you show the person striking the dog from a different angle, then you now showed a dog's head with the tongue out. So that was off and very disappointing. There are certain things that I believe for a lot of, and this is my problem with a lot of Nollywood films, this attention to details, these little things will set certain people off. I'm sure that there are people that are from that part of town that would have issues with certain things, but I'm not from that part of town, so there are some things that might not really set me off. But I'm just mentioning the things that I've seen. The procession, the whole carrying of the first body they carried, which is supposed to be the king's body, I think. That whole thing was poorly done. Like, if that is the king's body, unless you want to say that it's not as flamboyant as it should be, but then I don't know what to call it. Is it to call it a conundrum? Because we have all these masquerades and everything dancing. It just seems so simplified. It was just bland. And then the costuming, the masquerade. If I was watching it with a side eye, maybe if I was doing something else and I just caught this on screen, it almost looked like some kind of Indian dance performance, like an Indian film. The colors were just so vivid, so rich, so sharp. A lot of all the costumes, everything just looked so in Bollywood dance-ish type of thing. That it didn't even, it just looked weird in my eyes. Yeah, like Eniola said, the girl after the knacks, why was she smiling and being clingy? I don't even understand what that was about. The ball, the ball was pretty weird for me because they were playing jazz and they were dancing ballroom. They were dancing ballroom waltz and they were playing jazz music. Then the conductor was conducting the band. The band arranged themselves like an orchestra, and it was just off. I was hearing jazz. The conductor was just swinging his hands like he was conducting an orchestral, a classical piece, and for me, then electricity. I understand the part of the white person's area is brightly lit and everything. I don't even understand where they got electricity from. They expect that there will be some kind of generator, ambient sound somewhere, but then, I mean, that is possible. But in the market square thing, did they have lights there as well? Did they run wires for? Because I saw certain places where there were things. I saw little Like, I now saw some places where on the roof, somewhere on the thatched roof here and there, I saw halogen lamps. So I'm trying to understand, did they run electricity for them in the marketplace as well? Because if so, why was everywhere now dark when DME went back to the place where they had cleared and arrested this guy and scattered everywhere, which didn't even, the aftermath of the arrest didn't even make sense because everywhere was dark, quiet. The places where we had different campfires lit, no smoke, nothing, it was just dark and very bland. All these kind of details are very, very important. The dog chain that you can buy in Dumota market, so bright and shiny and so modern, it didn't make sense to me because this is supposed to be at the break of World War II or something like that. Also, they said that was rubbish for me. The part where Olunde was having the dialogue with this madam, with the white madam, and he now said, "Listen, you know, I'm sure you've heard me speak on this platform before. I'm very particular about that. You can't be a major production house. You can't be saying you're serious about filmmaking if a full production studio is not handling your audio. Audio for film has to be treated like you are working on an album, from recording to mixing to the ambient sounds to mastering to everything. It has to be done by a team of engineers, not 1, 2, 3 people that they just give audio and the person is looking at the clip and then dragging audio. When he ran past, when Odulade ran past and saw his son talking to the white lady, the audio, the sound of the chain clinking did not match with what was happening, and I don't know why we don't pay attention to recording Foley sound, because all those kind of things. I'm just one person. There's other people like me that kind of thing will jump out at, but that for me that was not professional at all. Yes, Brimo looked very out of place. It was just so where he told the white lady, "Listen, the sound drums. I mean, those drums have been playing for a bit, and it's the same progression of drums that have been playing for quite a bit, and all of a sudden it says listen to the drums, like whether they turn down the volume of the DJ, turn down the volume in the ball for them to listen to the drums that is playing. I would have expected that because there has been a very constant progression of drumming, there is a particular type of drum sound or even something high pitched that just maybe even it could even be something that is as sharp and noticeable as it will now signal DME to now notice that, okay, the pitch of this drumming has changed, which means this is about to happen. But it's the same drumming. Somebody just turned down the audio of the jazz band playing and now said, listen, for me, that part is stuck out quite horribly for me. Lighting was a mess, but like I said, from the beginning, I accepted it because this is how you would have watched quite a number of stage plays, and there's the limited with lighting. You have very limited options. It's either you are doing dim the light here, flash the light here, strobe the light here, give blue lighting, dim blue lighting to signify moonlight and nighttime. So yeah, if we look at it as though it's a stage play, yes, that lighting works. But for me, the lighting didn't make sense because everywhere was bright. Even the prison cell that it was in was as bright as Twitter HQ reception. It didn't make sense for me. It was weird. There was no explanation. There was then again, it's a stage play. There's really little. They had little time to work all those kind of details in. And then, yeah, how did he hang himself? There's no excuse we can make for that. I sat down there, I paused it, and I now tried to look at all the logical ways you can twist your hand. How do you twist your hand in such a way that it would hold your neck and it will hold you suspended? I couldn't find any. That was the total blunder. It was a mess. And the time that it took, that brand new shiny padlock that I saw that he locked in the first place, he now did some funny dramatic dance there to wait for Odolade to hang himself before he walked in with the whole soldiers and everything. And then the dialogue in the prison, like Enola said, the dialogue in the prison was as in from there, I think it was from that point that everything started to spiral downwards. It's just a mess. From his how is he understanding the white guy? How is the white guy understanding him? When the Aloja came, they were understanding themselves perfectly. There was just perfect synergy and seamless dialogue all through. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like from there, everything just became a mess. But I said, you know what? I'm already here. Let me follow it to the end. Then that intro scene where the harem or whatever that was, first of all, that looked like another movie type of Prince of Persia sort of thing. Like I said, I'm not from that part of town, so I don't know whether that's how royalty and their concubines operate. And then speaking to the nudity was, how do I put it, was creatively done. It did not look crass, it did not look offensive, but at the same time, I think we need to learn. There's a very bad way and Hollywood have changed this thing. Hollywood have gotten better at it, but we are more comfortable showing the nudity of the woman rather than the man. The man is always covered in every way, and then it's okay to show the girl's boobs and any other part of this thing. So that whole thing. So that whole intro scene was just a mess for me. With the lighting that came from I don't know whether it was an open air cabana style, whatever it is, or his chamber. I don't understand how they lit that part, but I accepted it again because hey, it's a stage play type of thing. What else? So yeah, that's pretty much it. DM's performance was good, but he just seemed out of place. Here and there, the dialogue, walking about, still in that suit. It was just off for me. So I think that's for me. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then speaking to, I don't really have so much to say about the people that had condescending comments towards people that criticize this thing negatively. I don't know when we will learn. If I say, if I'm a producer, if I'm a music producer and I say a song is whack, I'm probably I might just be referring to the way the engineer makes the drum. Not speaking to the vocal performance. I'm not speaking to the production. I'm probably speaking to a certain thing. It is on you as the owner of that thing to explain, because people. I think we forget that it's a market. It's a product market. I'm a client. I'm a customer. I've paid for this thing, so I can complain. And you, proper customer care, proper customer relation is to say, oh, and that. And I mean, if there's a blunder, you own up to it. Yes, we had only 3 days to shoot this thing, so this is why this looked like this. We will do better next time, okay, last month did not allow us to do this. That's why this. It's very simple and straightforward, and we will be forgiven. People will be forgiven, like, oh, it's true, because I've had experiences with last month, so I know that okay, this thing is true. There's no way you would have executed this particular move. Fine, and I will understand. Rather than coming to tell me you talk the social road and blah 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 and all this. I mean, so that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, thanks.
Right. Thanks, Shagun. All right. Even on that, I'm just reading some of the things. Tambay says the play is the play, the film is the film. That's just one reason why authors and playwrights often separate themselves from the adaptations of their work. It's someone else's vision. Was Shainka closely involved in this? Based on, and this might be an extrapolation. I don't think Shainka, he did an obituary. What's one of those things for Biyi after his passing? He did a write up. I might be interpreting a little too much in this, but maybe it's possible that he wasn't as involved in this. He doesn't have any credits in this. So I don't. I think it's just fair to assume that he wasn't. Okay. I think this was to Eniola. So he said, extremely faithful to his source,
to source material and saying it is a bad adaptation because it neglected the most important thing in the story. Again, which way? I think she was I think extremely faithful to the source in some sense, in some parts. To the detriment of the play, and at some parts they missed.
It was,
Yes,
I think you meant like they directly lifted dialogue
yes,
without bringing across the emotions that should be shown and put
yeah,
across.
that's what I got. Oh, this is from Miracle Critic. It says you can rate and review Elesin Oba on Nolly Data here. Oh, yeah, you can go do that. Zainab says, preach Vanessa, I hate that people are bullying, insulting people for not getting the play aspect of it. Even classic Romeo and Juliet literature was made into film, and people didn't have to be theater heads to enjoy it. True, not just that. There are many, many plays. Babatunde says, about what the motivation for certain actions were should be allowed to remain what it is, a stage play. Total waste of money.
I will say I also got left with quite a number of questions, and I'll get to them eventually. I mean, feel free to call me on the Ludo when I ask my questions, but
yeah. All right. Yeah, I think even with some of the things Shagun was saying, I'm not gonna say this again because I think it's a boring point. It's not that big a deal, but like, if we are going to work on anything, I think on how we want to depict nudity. Then I'm saying how we want to depict it. I'm not saying we shouldn't depict nudity. If this was a Hollywood film or a film I feel like knows what they're doing, and I saw nudity in almost in the first shot of the film, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of boobs and nakedness in this film. It's preparing me for a world where that this kind of thing is going to be, or some sort of other. It's like, I'm just trying to think. It's like, is there any other like swearing? There's no blood.
And I was just gonna say, somebody's going to say we've come with our nudity thing again.
I don't care.
But no, but this is what I'm saying is, and we said this with Aниkolakwa as well. We complained about the nudity. Anikolakwa was completely modest, right? Was very, very modest. And then we get just bang, nudity
and no kissing.
Nudity and no kissing, right? Yeah. And then we have this start off with nudity, and then it just moves on to modesty.
Yeah,
and it's just
like, what are we doing? Was the other sound? Oh yeah, the sound in this. Yes, I think Shagun mentioned the sound wasn't very good at points. Yes, at many points the sound wasn't good. I remember like the sound design was just okay. The sound design in this was just not good. It wasn't good in so many places. I remember that there was a point where Jide, I can't remember his character's name, Jide Kosoko was writing the thing he was going to drop. He finished writing it and the sound design was still going. I'm like, the footsteps is the thing that we keep on doing. I feel like we're all using the same stock sound, footsteps, like the same one. What else? What other sound? There's a point where Deyemi goes to hug the village. When is he in the village? He goes to meet someone in the village. The person he met in the village, he hugged the person. And when he hugged, the lapel mic he was wearing brushed up against the thing. These are like really, really basic. Like this, we were gonna send this to the Oscars. Apparently. This was the highest voted one, right?
This was the highest voted.
This is one of the highest voted ones, and like a lapel mic brushing up. It was a wide shot as well. Like it didn't have to be in there. You could have taken it anyway. I'm just saying you could have like. It didn't have to be. We didn't have to hear that. Yeah, some of the sound design was so bad. I thought like maybe the fabric was rubbing up against some of the lapel mic. But when I changed to the dubs, because that's how you can tell if it's something that was put that's not part of the actual mic that's picking people up. I noticed that it was there in all the dubs, so like that was like purposeful, intentional, and I'm just like, all right, okay, so the person who's doing sound design is just not great at it. But yeah, there were a lot of places where sound wasn't good. But anyway, let's move on to a couple of other people here to say some of the issues you had.
Yeah, I think I'll let Elizabeth go before me. She said she wants to do something.
Okay, all right. My queen.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, you there?
Sorry, I did not even know. I did not hear my name.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, so what don't I like? Okay, first I want to push back Shogun. The masquerade. They are not too colorful as it look like. So that's all the pushbacks. What don't I
Don't get me wrong. Oh, don't get me wrong. Oh. I'm not saying that that's not how they look. I'm saying there are two. It was too bright, and I don't know if that's
is
how
it
they
the
should look.
coloring? That's how they look.
Yeah, that's how they look on the daily. That bright red, beautiful red, gold with all the gold and all the shimmering things that you will see in a
Yes,
Bollywood movie.
with the
Okay,
penguin
okay,
and
okay.
sunshine.
With exactly lit and everything. That's fine if you say so.
Okay, anyway, so back to what I do not like. So I think for me, at first, one, the choice to represent this movie in the theater, in the stage form, in the medium, is an interesting one. And I thought, you know what, let me see how else they are going to like depict it. Let me see what they do with this. When the opening shots, I thought it went on for too long, but again, maybe they were trying to world build. But what really stood out to me and what really threw me off is that the consistency in appearance of the theater form was not maintained all through. Because every scene that happened within an enclosure, like in a house. Okay, let me say it's their house. It did not take the theater format at all. And I found this interesting because I've not seen a direct film theater depiction before. Okay, I've seen a recording of a film format, of a stage format, but in film. So maybe Olaritim is Our Husband Has Gone Mad Again. I think I saw one like a decade or so, and a half ago. It was that format, stage format, but you can see that this is a set, right? And I think of recent, I saw Tunde Kelani's depiction of not adaptation, it's also stage, Yepa, Shola Rainbow. So I'm used to, if I was going to watch something like that, and if you're going to leave it as traditional theater stage format, I would assume that your camera works and everything will probably follow. You shot everything to look like stage format. And then there were inconsistencies all through when it comes to like enclosed place, like the house, the front of the house, and some of all these angles, like the camera movements. That's one thing I really did not like. For me, it wasn't well sustained. That's one. Then really, again, it it worked when maybe I'm watching like the market scene. I can see how the casts, they are arranged vertically and then facing the audience, facing the camera. But I also know that when at least Nigerian there are usually humor written in most of the playwrights. They write in humor, and I know that that was what Amusa was going for with his bad English, and when he was shocked when he saw Jane and whatever his face is with the masquerade garment. What I think what the Amusa's acting, if it was stage, maybe because of the continued medium being carried on, it would have blended in. But I did not see that because like it just stood out like a sore thumb for me. I was cringy. I really wanted him out of my sight. Let me put it that way. So that's another thing, when the filming of the stage is not established, because again, this is film. If you're going to merge two separate mediums that work in separate formats, if you're going to merge it, you have to merge it in such a way that they don't clash. It's not, but this is what this movie has done. When a medium is not carried through, everything just doesn't work. So that's another one for me. And then the choice of direction is very the choices, I can't say choice because there are a lot of choices there that I'm like, are you sure? Like the arrest at that arrest scene, when he was arrested and he was dragged, while he was being dragged in front of the wherever that body had, the shuffling of the feet, it was bad. Even if it was theater, it was bad, because if that was going to be like theater format for me, I would have stood up like, okay, maybe this particular play is not for me. The ball was empty. The choice to shoot that angle from there's this white scene that I did, and I'm like, are we supposed to just shooting this scene from this side? All is that the intention? Because when we're just shown, two people huddled together there, the evil twin sisters, sorry, Joke Silva and that part with their snappy retorts. When we're seeing that in just in like closed up format, it was, you really never can tell, like, okay, maybe this is an empty ball or not. But the decision to shoot it from like this stairs and everything just looked like you put in an empty room, like 7 people. And what else? The sex scene was bad. Look, sex scene has been bad all year. All the sex scenes I've seen this year, Nollywood, if you cannot do it, leave it alone. The man for the job was so bad. I remember I thought that they were eating hot yam. This one, I don't know what was going on. Like I immediately deleted that scene out of my head. Like immediately, like, please, can we leave it alone? Not because can we pretend it's not. In fact, write is a title card. Just write in the middle and put and sex happened. Then we'll move on with the next scene. Again, choice of directing or how whatever was shot. That scene where he was going to die, when he hung himself, and the reaction, it was bad. I rewinded it too. I had to say, maybe I did not see it. Maybe there's something I'm missing. And then it was talking. Next thing is to held his chain to the top, kick the. It was almost as if they were interpreting what was written in the script. He stood on the table and then somebody did that. And then kicked the table, then kicked, then leg shaking, leg. I was like, what is happening here? There was no fluidity. There was no. That scene was not cohesive enough for whatever it is they were trying to go for. We saw the bride cry one cry. Oh, so happy. I don't know what's happening there. So defiance, man, that scene was bad. I don't know what's happening there. It was very amateurish. It was so amateurish in ways that I'm like, what is happening? Is this the intention? Is it the editing? Is it the directing? Another thing that I think this movie did, and this is coming back to story and how, I mean, somebody who had read the book recently has told us how they've gutted the soul of the points and the so on that of the source material. So I don't know if I should even mention it, because one thing I realized is, even though all of the things that I got about motivation and blah 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 and whatnot was from dialogue, from what everybody said, from okay, maybe in the beginning, the action when he looked lustfully at the finest babe in town. So maybe that is probably the only part where an action from the action of the character, you know, tell the motivation towards the end of, I mean, throughout the movie. But apart from that scene that happened, every other thing here was from what somebody was saying. Was the Yaloja say, "Oh, I told you." The Yaloja say, "Oh, I told you this." And Oluyo say, "Oh, I said that." And then when he saw his son and he said, "Oh, I'm ashamed of you. You're Latin." And you're like, and here is the, because I'm getting all of these words said, I am piecing things together in my mind. Of course, if and for another person, if it was not explicitly shown, which is the big medium of actual film where you show and do less of the telling. If you're not showing and people, it's really just bad storytelling, really, because again, these are two different mediums, and you're forcing them to work together without adjusting for what your audience is going to see. So one thing that was not really highlighted here is the importance of duty. It's very easy to infer the importance of duty if maybe you're conversant with the tradition of this, or you're conversant with the story, or you've read the source material. But when I went in here, like I said, I did not read the source material again. I refused to, because I really wanted to see through the lens of an audience, watching something that I know nothing about. And I was trying as much as possible to control my environment so that a lot of people's opinion does not filter through, so that I can be able to get it. That's the importance of duty. Because here is that there is a personal feeling on the side of the Elesin Oba. He knew that the sole purpose he had on earth when he was born is the purpose that he was going to die with the king, right? And how people would react to that. But because this was not explicit, it makes a lot of the decisions here questionable. Why are you angry at him? He didn't want to die. But here is the thing: it is not about his hesitant, like him about him shirking on his duty. And if the people you're telling this story to, the audience, everything, if they do not understand the importance of duty, which is the core, which is at the very core, even though death is a theme here, it is also about the importance of duty and how we do not understand it. It is a feeling of storytelling here. It is not properly highlighted. Another thing here for me is I feel so sad about this movie because this is Biyi's song. This is his last hurrah. And in comparison with other work, really this shouldn't be part of criticism of this film. But again, like I said, this is it's posthumous, so it is it's underwhelming for me personally. As a person, I'm like, this really last hurrah, but it is, unfortunately. And I will rank it really low on the list of all his work, maybe 3, 4 at most. And what else? Brahma Azulunyo, you can get out of my screen, really. Honestly, I don't know why they had to, because I can hear a lot of people saying they kept to the source material in the dialogue, like they changed nothing. So it begs the question, though. If you did not change anything about the dialogue and so many things, you want to, at the same time, you've removed the soul of this story, the tipping point, the symbolism of so many things. Somebody mentioned that apparently there was a scene at the end. It was significant that his fiancée, the person we got married to, closed the eyes and poured the sand. So many things that has been gutted. So what's the point? What is the point? Yeah. Why did you keep some of this dialogue? And I'm hearing that, I think it was Eniola that mentioned that they gutted a dialogue that was important from Yaloja. So if you remove that particular, what is the reason for keeping the rest of the things that does nothing for the audience, that does nothing for this story, and just leaves the story bland? So I would just say that the effort here to make this is lackluster. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say something about this duty or the sense of duty not being shown or said as important. Um I got the sense that duty was important. What I didn't get, and I think someone else has mentioned, a couple things. What I didn't get was the how dire it was, right? I didn't get it was if he shirked that duty. But there was nothing in this film to show me that he was shirking his duty. This was his last day on Earth, and there was so much excitement, right? This was supposed to be his last day on Earth. There was so much excitement. It's not like he'd been postponing it, or he was the one who stole the month. It just seemed this was the day that it was always going to be. You get, he was reminiscing, talking about how much he loved the market. There were boobs in his face. He even got a new bride. It seemed like he was really having the time of his life, right? This is my last day. Everyone's going to spoil me. It's going to be awesome. So I had some sense of irritation, like, why are we having a whole ass wedding on this last day? But no one seemed to have any other sense of urgency. Like, yeah, it's going to happen at the time when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't see any sense of him shirking his duty. Everything I heard about him shirking his duty was said by people. He seemed excited, right?
Yeah.
He goes to a great day. He goes off and he's doing his thing. So I'm hearing him say, oh, his voice kind of failed him. I didn't see his voice failing him, right? I don't know what happened. The only thing that seemed really off to me was when they came and took him, right? That arrest was so anticlimactic. I was like, this is it? This is the arrest? Because when they came earlier, right, during his wedding, the women beat them up, right?
Yeah.
And they come here later in the middle of this big ceremony. This is it.
Where everybody is.
So we don't just have those 5 odd women, right? We have everybody here. Yeah. Enough to subdue them, right? Enough to keep this ceremony going. So, because I came into this film completely blind of the play. I'd not read it, so I didn't know. I just had an idea, but I hadn't read it. And I thought, okay, maybe how they killed the horse and they killed the girl. Maybe they'll kill him too. And instead, I'm finding out that no, he's just supposed to do some incantations and call death to himself. And how has this not happened? Why is this arrest still happening? Why are we in the cell having this conversation? Why hasn't this carried on? But I never got this. Everything that this film was showing me was this guy was going to do this thing, right? But they came and arrested him. But now everybody's being a dick about it. Like, we all saw them arrest this guy. Why is everyone being a dick about it? Sorry, pardon my French. But like, I just felt some mild irritation. Like, we all saw them arrest this guy, right? I'm not crazy. But, but this is what I'm seeing, right? That there's something in the paper, and it's a failing on his part. It's his own moral failing that has led to him not being able to perform his duty. But what this film has showed me is that Oyibo carried him, and everybody around him is just being assholes about it. And no one even thought of a prison break before taking his son's life instead. But it was just, I didn't see that. The film failed to show me that the election was stalling his duty. It just seemed like he was having a great day on the last day of his life and faffing.
So a couple of things, I don't think particularly takes too much from your points. Is that I think number one, I think they say something about like he said something later about his voice failed him.
Yes, exactly. So I said that, like, I heard the thing about the voice failed him, but he said it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, when he said it, I was like,
cell, I was like, when did that happen?
I was like, okay, I guess that's news. Yes, you're right. Okay, so but that was it. The other thing is that there is at the beginning of it, they say something about like if the if he doesn't die, like it could bring a curse to the village that could bring great havoc or something.
Yes, but
they say that, but no,
chill on the day.
Nobody,
like, but there was no urgency. I'm like, this couldn't have been done in the morning, in the afternoon. Okay, it had to be done at that time. Cool. Don't let them take him.
Yeah, it's just that even though that says that, like, the villagers don't behave as if it's like nobody behaves as if it's that important. Like, I think that's something somebody said earlier on, is like, you don't feel the weight of how important it is for this not to happen until late, and is the way it happens is just so poorly done. Like,
I don't think it's ever shown.
What? No, because like at some point, because people are mad at him. Like, why didn't you? What? Like, why didn't you?
And it feels
And I'm
like
like,
such a switch up
and I'm
because
like,
y'all were chill.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Y'all
It's like,
set up a whole wedding for this man, right? If time was of the essence and he says he wants the bride, cool. Here you go.
yeah. And yeah. So that was a big thing because yeah, even like Shafi, who
Yeah.
was one of the people who was like, she says, "Oh, I want you," and she said a thing about like, you know, like, "Hey, careful, you know, your things could have consequences." It
But
just
like,
seemed like
what? Like,
it
sorry.
just seemed like it came out of nowhere
Yeah.
for a start, like because not like she's like, "Hey, come," but like she agrees to it like
Yeah.
very quickly, and like she convinces other people who are like, "Hey, isn't this
Yeah.
babe like we'll do it, it will be fine." That's the impression that Shafi gives us. So like it doesn't, again, it always takes away from the weight of, imagine if it was played like everybody's quiet, like, oh my god, is this guy really
Yeah,
about
is
to
he
like
really gonna do
postpone?
this?
Is this really what's going to happen? Like what? But like everybody's like, eh.
There was
So
no
like,
sense of timing.
yeah, so the weight wasn't felt. All right, we've been speaking for a bit. Sorry guys. Francis, Franca, please.
Good evening, guys. Can you hear me? Finally.
Yes, we can.
I feel I knew something would be wrong in this movie from the movie poster, cause God, it was so horrible. Well, it is so horrible. When I saw the movie poster, I'm like, if this is a Netflix movie, what, the poster is just really poorly done. I don't know. I just don't like the poster. Looks like a very local movie. Well, they would have done better. Nice movie. I don't think there is anything wrong in worshipping when you solely adapt to or solely do a work of a novel or a book directly. When you adapt it, is worshipping the play. But I feel we, because it's B, I really expected more from him because you can be creative. And at some point in the movie, we thought, I was thinking that the wedding was more important than than him dying, because the wedding food and everything. I was going to say, food don't come outside, like everything was just coming out, and nobody, everybody forgot about him dying. And when DME came, the first thing I saw was the suit. I was like, okay, fine, this guy is coming from 2020, because obviously that suit is too nice for the year, and nobody was excited to see him. If you follow the story, you would see that he left 4 years ago, and he's like the Eleson's son. So yes, Yoruba people, they will be excited. But I don't know the contract Biyi signed and Moabudu signed with what's his name again? And the author. I don't know. Maybe they had restrictions, because I the climax of the play where the scene we had to die, and I didn't even know it was a climax. I was still thinking maybe the film was too long, and everything. I felt at that point they were all tired shooting the movie. I just felt that at that point, I think they are tired already, because from that scene it was really slow, and then the conversation. I am a theater artist, so I understood the part that the conversations were long, because when you're doing stage play, you have so many conversations. So I was thinking, okay, from this part the conversation was really long, and then the American could understand everything they were saying in Yoruba, deep Yoruba, they could understand it. I was like, okay, fine, something is wrong here. And the hanging of himself, if you read the book, you would see where Roshanika said, okay, he choked himself with it. I feel they didn't like a good way to depict it, or a good way to explain it. So we had to just do that. I don't know what they did there. I was confused. I was like, okay, is he dying? Is he not dying? What are you doing? And I didn't know he was hesitating to die. I was just thinking maybe it was just this man was enjoying his life. I didn't know. And when I just feel, in fact, if you see the book, you will see death, which is like a full name, death, and the death command. Then you know that, okay, death is like the major thing there, but we didn't see it. We didn't see it. I love Jide Kosoko's part. I feel that I feel that was like the comic relief they wanted to show there, but they didn't know how to do it, and it was really short. I don't know what they, but I feel its part would have been if it was work done, it would have been nice. And but the singing was really good, the music was good, and Brimo's voice is fantastic. The good casting was nice, but I think they would have done better. I just but like this is Mabudu. This is what they do. They love the crowd, they love the buzz and all. So I didn't really expect more. I don't know because it was Moab because it is Moabudu. So I don't think maybe I didn't expect too much. I If it was another company I would have said okay fine but Moabudu. I just knew they would the noise and the buzz and everything. And for the part of Omo Omitata, I didn't really judge her when she was happy because she was supposed to marry somebody. When I saw that the actor they used was a low, I just felt okay. She being happy marrying the king's horseman, Eleson. I feel most people will be happy. So I don't most times where I watch movies, I don't judge people based on I don't judge how the director tends to interpret a particular character because people react differently. People generally react differently. I can be happy. Some people will be happy that finally maybe I want to marry into the king's whatever and I want to be a seat for him. So she being happy wasn't the problem for me. Now all of a sudden so emotional. Like you don't know this man from anywhere, just tonight, and all of a sudden you're crying and all. And at the point, if the women could fight the warrant officer when they came to the wedding, because the major problem they fought them was because he was deflowering her. And that was like they are so concerned. And they could not even fight. Everybody was there. Villagers, the men, everybody was there and was trying to die. And nobody even moved. Nobody even say, people don't do every because if you don't even listen to the conversation well, was when the woman was and I can't remember anymore. She came to the prison and then she was talking and then that was when I knew that this man was actually hesitating to die. Like I didn't know. I feel even I feel B was trying to adapt the play, but I feel he was trying to worship the play also. But I felt it just I don't know. It was just trying to please the book so much that he actually lost the thing. And I didn't see I didn't know. I don't know. I just felt even DM is a fantastic actor, but I don't know. I don't know what they did to him. I don't know what they did there. I really don't know. But they would have done better. Good storyline. Good story. It's Wale Soyinka, obviously. It's good storyline, but he would have done better. The the to be a director you need to be creative. That's why we would call you a director because you would see it in a different light. And I don't know, but it's
Right. Thank. Oh, I put in there. Thank you, Francis. Bashekun, please. I know you've been waiting a long time. Sorry. What do you? I know you weren't here for the good parts, so feel free if you want to talk about the things you liked, things you don't like. Anyone?
Thank you for the stuff we've been having since. It's been really interesting. To be honest, I really love the movie. Maybe because I'm a weird person or something like that. The reasons why I love the movie is that this is a deviation from the normal Nollywood movies that we see. The Lekki Ikoyi Bridge first shoot, when we have cliche storylines, weddings, and all that. It's so it also has a very good rewatch value, and um, of course I've seen the movie like 2 or 3 times before. Um, um, Before I'm actually talking about it right now, because I looked through a lot of things, some things that I missed earlier with the first view. Okay, why were these decisions? Why were these things said at the end of the movie? And that is a very good plus for a Nollywood movie because a lot of our movies have no rewatch value. So once we watch them once, we already understand. And also, the movie has a very direct delivery. There was no deviations or distractions. And lastly, it's a very good opportunity for experimentation. in arts, it's very nice for artists to experiment and try new things, even though some of them may not work out. Some may work out fine, but we must appreciate and applaud those who try to experiment and those who develop in the industry. But I also have some criticisms for the movie. Um, the first thing that I noticed is that the story did not show us in depth the importance of Elesin's death on that day. We maybe they expect us to imply it for what happened at the end, but they should have shown us that from the beginning, as they were showing us how he was enjoying his life. He was like a mini god. You know, they should have given us a couple of conversations to show us that you must die today. Why are you trying to delay this? And all that. But they missed that part. So I think that threw a lot of people off. And at the end, when that came out, people were like, yeah, why are you pissed at him because he did not die? I don't mind people want to die and all that. So they missed that opportunity at the beginning. The thing was a bit rushed. So we saw a lot of fertility, let me use that word, at the beginning. Those scenes where he was enjoying himself and all that. But the end where the crux of the whole play is, where the depth of the movie is, was a bit rushed. Also, the death of the son, maybe it was kept to be as a suspense, but it was a little bit underwhelming. It was just bland, a little bit bland when we realized that the son had died, even though during the conversation they were trying to imply it, like talking about the other thing, it was the opposite happened to you. They were trying to imply it with the conversation. So someone who is not very conversed or not very use that word in the Yoruba conversations will not understand what they meant by such proverbs and poems, if you allow me to use that word. And the last but not the least, which relates to my a couple of points that I made earlier, is that the audience was lost when everyone was blaming Elesin for his death. I spoke about they should have exaggerated the importance of his death, but that is all I believe threw a lot of people off about the movie. Like, okay, so he has to die, and he did not die, and so what? So why are you castigating him? Why did the stupid son come all the way from the UK to commit suicide? So they had, made that very clear. Even maybe they did with the opening monologue or the opening, which a lot of people may not pay attention to, but it was still not, deeply impressed into the movie, and so that's what I believe what threw a lot of people off, and got a lot of people asking questions about the storyline and all that. Um, so, like I said, they also did death of the son. The son also just appeared like it was a cameo, but it was actually, of course, maybe not in the story, but they could have added a couple of more scenes to show how revered the son was, or how important the family of the son is. Because the guy was missing for 4 years. They suspect that it was the Igbo man that took him, but it's just back, and it was just like he sneaked in, which is a little bit weird. They could have added a couple of more scenes where they would have shown how happy people were to see the son of someone as important as Elesin, and that is it for me. But overall, I believe it's a really good movie, especially, like I said, the deviation from the normal Nollywood movie that we see, and I believe movies like this should be encouraged. It's just a starting point. because we don't see a lot of movies like this. We see a lot of cliche movies where we don't have the word value. So I think movies like this should be encouraged, even though, and I believe that they will get better with other adaptations. I am one of those who advocates that we put a lot of books and plays into movies, because first, the younger ones don't really like reading, and so we're losing that gap. And second, most of our storylines in our movies are usually, straightforward, bland. So when we put in right um, books, novels into movies, more interesting, so different thoughts, different opinions. At least we're having a conversation about this movie right now. We wouldn't do that if it's not an interesting movie, if it's just there. But because we see something interesting in this system, that's why we're talking about it now. I believe that's all I have to say for now. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Bashang. We at Nollywood Film Club, we do this every Sunday. We do pick a Nollywood film. Regardless, I think I picked this before anybody had seen it, to be fair. But I'm with you to encourage movies that are doing things that are different and encourage that kind of thing. But like, I don't know how much you watch Nollywood. We're actually getting very good at making a lot of different types of films these days. In fact, almost some people, I would say, are overusing it too much as a crutch. Films would tell you they're the first people to do this, like, first Nollywood film to do X or first Nollywood film to do Y, and it carried as a badge of honor because you feel like you deserve special because you're the first person to do a thing you believe, okay, you should not be criticized. And like, maybe you should get a tap on the back for not being cliche, but and good feedback.
Yeah, I understand that really well. That yes, we are having a lot of deviations from the norm. Like I said, if you look through Netflix, I don't live in Nigeria presently, but a lot of movies that I watch that are Nollywood movies, my wife does a lot of that. Would be from YouTube and from Netflix and from Prime. Okay, a lot of the movies that we see there are usually Lagos based, where you have the son of a rich man being dramatic, or this couple, Femi Banks, who is a painter and the parents disapprove of what she's doing, or so the one lady that wants to get married but is looking for a suitor. You get what I'm saying. So they don't really, they're just, I don't want to use the word, they are not shallow, but you could easily depict where the movie is going from what's. But so if we have more movies that are more books that are adapted to movies, like I said, interesting storylines where we'll be able to have serious conversations and push more movies into the international scene, because that's one of the things that movies lack. When I hang out with my friends and they ask me to play Nigerian movies, those are things that I'm really not comfortable talking about when we discuss the kind of movies that we have.
I think I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that I hear all those things you're saying, and I think some people, and maybe it's possible, I don't know your wife, it's possible she likes those kind of things, which is fine, by the way. Everybody can like, particularly whatever type of content they want, but like, if you want like diverse, I can probably list you 10 movies that don't fit the description you just made. We did Juju Stories earlier in this year. Next week, we're doing one of the best Nigerian films. No, sorry, the best Nigerian film I've ever seen, called Eyimofe. There is even things like Razguy that isn't what you call artsy, is not, doesn't fit that description. Country Hard doesn't fit that description. There are so many of these. We saw, what's the name of the one we did last week? Tainted Canvas is another one. We saw, like, there are many Nollywood films that are just very much into they're trying to diversify and like be different in ways. So like I understand what you're saying. This is popular because there's a good market for them and that's why they play. But like if you that's kind of I guess part of why we do what we do here anyway, is that there are loads of films that are breaking that mold, and we can introduce you to them if you keep up with us or just keep follow any of these speakers. They're quite hardcore Nollywood enthusiasts. They're always talking about these films. But yes, that's what I said to that. All right. I do, Cynthia, your position last time, so it is what it is.
I gave my position because someone was distracting me. Now you left me. Anyways, I want to start with saying that Eniola said almost everything. I was going to say God will bless her. Then, according to Shegun, when I started watching this movie and they started singing, I actually thought it was going to be a musical because I mean I've not read the book, and during the prison conversation, I lost my interest when I think a woman in the market scene, she spoke with soprano voice, and I was like, I don't think I would like this movie. Then also with Vanessa nudity, yeah, I got it right. With Vanessa's nudity, I feel like the problem is maybe Nollywood. I might be wrong. I think it is probably what is holding them back from the global stage or acceptance or whatever. But for me, I would love if they like fix their story first. Okay, give us good story, then you can bring whatever you want to bring. Then somebody also mentioned Toronto International Film Festival. I was pissed. So I can't remember who said it, but the guy came and said, I don't even know if the guy with girls. Someone was distracting me. And so this movie was made for the audience in Toronto International Film Festival. Anyways, this movie was quite forgettable. I didn't like it, and I don't think I will introduce this movie to anybody that is here with me or that is here in this country. I also think that this is not the first Nollywood movie that has gone to TIFF, and there are a lot of Nollywood movies that have gone to TIFF that we liked, and it didn't even win any award in TIFF, so I did not know where that comments or that boldness came from when it made it. The reason why I did not like this movie, the major reason, and with the whole theatrical blocking, dramatic theory, stage play adaptation. Yes, let me focus on the stage play adaptation. I felt like if you had given JSS1 students the book to act, they would have done better than what I watched. That was the main reason. Everybody came with the old theatrical blocking, stage play adaptation. I was like, what? Please, JSS1 students, we do a better job than what these guys did. Now, onto my like. With the minor like, I did not get the drone shots of the present day or your state, but well, I don't know. I just think I didn't know. I just felt it didn't fit, especially after seeing the intro that this movie was in 1993. I also had a problem with Deyemi's suits. And I'm also going to push back on Elizabeth, even though the masquerade costume was colorful and looked like a gogon. I do not believe that the sequin and the kind of beads that were placed on that costume was being used in 1943. They looked like the modern day tailor beads that she picked, like that bead that they used to pick and gum to Ankara. So just like the costume was odd. And for some reason, I also did not appreciate the common villagers costume. So it could be because I didn't like the movie that everything was looking odd for me. But I don't know, everything was just odd. Then, like everyone have said, Brimo's character, you see, anytime Brimo opened his mouth, I'm like, do you close your mouth? Like, I just wanted him to shut up, okay? I felt, even though I've not read the book, I felt like it was miscasted. I felt like maybe just give me us with his own song. So let's just hear his song, of which I got tired of hearing music and I didn't even appreciate his fine voice. But I I I didn't know what his character was doing there. I didn't know what his character was doing there. I just wanted him to shut up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love him. I love Arambe. I still play the song once a week, but I just wanted Brahmo to shut up in this movie. Then character. To be honest with you people, I thought he had Down syndrome. When he appeared and he was behaving the way he was behaving, I thought this guy had Down syndrome. It was when they called him a Musa that was like, oh, this is the stereotype Hausa kind of character that Nollywood always do or sometimes do. That is supposed to be funny, but and it's funny. I was irritated. So when the chef also came and he was trying to do his own comic relief, I just felt like in the process of doing comic relief, it felt to me that they were having developmental disease. And it could be because of my study, but or my field of study, but I just did not buy the comic relief. They were giving me Down syndrome, neurodevelopmental disease kind of vibe. Then what have I used to move? Then they miss character. True. I did not understand his character. So I think Shegun said this thing that the white people was like they helped him escape to from the religion. Then he came back. For some reason we saw that he hated his father, and at the ending I saw that he died. Like, why are you back? Why are you the one dying? You hated your father. In fact, if there was anybody that would have even pushed for election, I thought it would be the one to go and rescue his father from the prison so that they will kill his father, Gongo. Like, die. So why are you the one dying? How he ended up being the one to die when I think the time of death have passed? I don't know. The dog, I think Shegun also said it. The dog was really cute. It was really cute. I was sure expected to see a bingo, but I saw this fine fluffy dog, and it hurts me that it was that kind of dog they decided to sacrifice. Then I got tired of the market women singing. So I don't know if maybe it's interesting in the play, but I don't know if I would have picked between the market women singing or the heavy dialogue. But I just know that they kept singing, and maybe because they were also singing it was just tiring. I just got tired of the market. I already me and the market women we started on a bad note, really, because when they got to the market scene and at the beginning and the market women said everything in chorus, like I don't know if they said are you sure in Yoruba or something, when the guy was saying that it will not delay his death. That was when we started on a bad note. So every time they sang and every time someone had to re-say what they say with dialogue, I was confused, like not like confused. I just did not know which one I would have preferred. So both the market women singing and the dialogue as a whole. Then, like Mrs. C have said, this movie did not tell us why Elesin Oba died. Or it's not like the movie did not tell us why Elesin Oba died. It told us what was not in the book. Because well, you people think from the book, people that have read the book, he died because of his covetousness, blah 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 blah, whatever. But from what I watched in the movie, he got married, yes. But it was not a ceremony, okay? And they waited till midnight to do the ceremony. And they were all singing for him to die. And I think on Twitter, I saw someone retweet a stage play of that particular scene, and that scene was more elevated than what I saw in this movie. And that's why I'm saying that if they are giving JSS1 students to do this thing, it would have been better than what we're seeing on Netflix. Way, way better. Anyway, the women were singing to die, and the white man just came and picked him up. And I was shocked because when Jide Kosoko character came with the same kind of bodyguard though that this white man brought, this woman beat them up. But they just let him die. Like they didn't let him die. They just let this white man pick him. So even I've not watched the play, but from the movie, if anybody asks me why Elesin Oba did not die, I will tell them that Elesin Oba did not die because nobody wanted him to die. That's the truth. That's what they gave to me. That was the translation I got. No single body wanted him to die. And since they had to wait till midnight because they could still do the marriage festival and everything, I still did not understand why Deyemi had to die. Okay? Because from what I watched in this movie, that midnight scene was the most important. So after he has died, or after he had escaped death, because the villagers really did not want him to die, when I saw Deyemi dead body, did die because time of death have passed. So what is even going on? But anyway, the main character now committed suicide, and I I didn't even see him as someone that like his son or like anything, or I didn't see him as someone that would even have pity. He didn't. Look, there was no character like. Oh, see, nobody. He didn't want to die. Nobody wanted to die. So when he even committed his suicide, I'm like, why are you killing yourself? Go on. I felt that they just copied things, but for some reason they could not copy well. I don't know. But I was sure confused. Another thing is before I watched this movie, I already told myself in my head that I will not like the movie. And just to echo what Francis said, it's because I saw it's from Mo Abudu. Something already told me that you will not like this movie. But something also told me that I'm going to like Shafi Bello and Omar Wumi. But for some reason, when I was done, I did not like anybody in this movie. I didn't like Omawumi, I didn't like Shafi Bello, and I was shocked. And even though Shafi Bello was acting and acting and acting, and she came to the prison and when she was speaking at Adage, I was just rolling my eyes. And this is because the movie did nothing for her character. The movie did nothing for her character motivation, development, or anything. So when she was being the Adage and doing everything like the powerful woman, I was just like, okay. Talk, and follow the script so that we'll get to where they'll commit suicide. Yes, I think the Yemi already told me on Twitter that he died or something. So I was expecting his death when Shafi was speaking at Adage. So yeah, like I really wanted to like her acting. I really wanted to like her acting, but there was just nothing there for me to like appreciate everything she was doing because there was no character motivation. And it's also the same thing with the white man. So they to save him. And I heard he wanted to save him from his mouth, but at the same time, when he was doing what he was doing, I was also rolling my eyes. I was like, okay. I guess the book said the white man captured him, so they copy and paste. So there's no need of them convincing us that we that are watching motion picture, we did not need to see his motivation. We do not need to see the character development. We don't need to see anything. We just need to see that a white man saved him or captured him. So I just felt everything was bad for me. Maybe it's a completely bad adaptation and the play is a good play. I don't know, but the movie was not for me. I know it's Wole Soyinka's work. Um I know he's a Nobel Prize winner. I know he is very big in the field. But I also say that um I mean, I'm a scientist, okay? Like 3 Nobel Prize, more than three, because I've done CRISPR-Cas, DNA, so many so I can list. I use more than three Nobel Prize people work to do my experiment. And there's always this thing where you have to adapt things to fit what you are working, okay? So I felt like even though they were going to pick the play to show us in the movie, they failed in the adaptation. It's either they were very lazy and they gave us a very lazy work, or and they didn't know what to do. So I'm really sorry, but I did not enjoy this movie. The movie did nothing for me. I don't know how Bashegun said he watched it 3 times. We have to fight. I don't know how he said he watched it 3 times. This movie was very forgettable. It was very, 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 very forgettable. And I couldn't even I really wanted to rewatch so that I'll be able to write my points for this film club. And I was like, I'm not going to suffer again. So it has no rewatch value. And if I'm being honest, after watching this movie, I have no interest in reading the book. Mbano. It's not me and you people. Me and you people. It's not me and you people. And yeah, so that's all I have to say. The movie was not just for me.
Anybody, any speakers, anybody's allowed to like or dislike anything they want. Please. I think is about to tell us what she did not enjoy about this film.
Okay. To personally say this, the movie was like, to me, the movie was just exactly like all the other play movies that I've seen right now, movies turned into play. I've seen it the past couple of years. But so let me just begin. One thing I want to mention is that this movie was indeed made in 1943. It was based on the thing that gave Wole Soyinka the inspiration to do this was because something actually happened during the colonial government where the king's oxman, the person that is supposed to die with the king, was prevented from doing that because when the colonial government came, they found that to be very illegal, to be very what's it called? Barbaric, right? And they prevented this type of things and they stopped it. That's why most people maybe it does it in the secret of night, but it doesn't really happen anymore. Most places in the world don't really do this, and this is not an African thing. It was also just a global thing that used to happen in the past. So this was an actual event that happened. One thing that people also have to realize, the Yoruba thing, the movie is not, the play was not written in Yoruba. The play is actually, because I had to go look this up because I was wondering, the scene was where this white man was on big away. That I'm Yoruba. Granted, I've lived outside of the country for years now, but me, I'm Yoruba. And I needed subtitle to understand. And I was just like, okay. And I was also like, I remember that this play was very much written in English. I was expecting this movie, if it was going to do it in English, but it wasn't. It was done in Yoruba. Most of it was done in Yoruba. And there's a very, very good reason why. There was also because I mentioned why it's inspired by an event for a very good reason. Duro Dipo, who is a playwright, right? And contributed to Nollywood and filmmaking in Nigeria is not as popular. Not that he's not as popular with the Nigerian masses. He's probably more popular with the Nigerian masses, like the everyday regular Nigerian masses probably know more of Duro Dipo than Wole Soyinka. What I mean is that Wole Soyinka, Ebony Life, and B, they are more up. It's not. I'm not going to go upwardly mobile, but there are more people that tend to go with more institutional ways that seems more closer to. I'm more closer to neoliberal British thing. Like they are more concerned. They tend to have that sort of thing that goes on. Their praise does come from Nigeria, but also their legitimacy also sometimes come from outside of the country. Wole Soyinka's play on this event is not written in Yoruba, it's written in English. Wole Soyinka is the one with the Nobel Prize winning, is the one that is recognized by the international community, by the Nobel Prize winning people. Duro Dipo's play was written in Yoruba. And I mentioned this because if Duro Dipo's play was written in Yoruba, most of the play or the people that are going to be in the play are going to be people who speak with Yoruba. So maybe as much focus on the colonial people. You get what I'm saying? But they hired somebody a linguist, a very good linguist, which, by the way, I have to say this man did a very good job of translating the Yoruba, the English that Wole Soyinka wrote into Yoruba, made it very poetic. Great job. They hired somebody to do that, to translate it into Yoruba. And the reason why it's in Yoruba is because this movie is produced and made to go for the Oscars, to be able to be submitted for the Oscars. That is why. That is the reason why you have that very, very silly scene where there is not like we show that there was a translator to do it. That's very silly. It is also now I come to the costuming. That explains that scene. It is to be written for the Oscars. No problem. I have no problem with it. We can submit this movie. It's cool. Whatever. That's not a judgment or criticism of it. It's just that many movies, that's how many movies do. The King's Speech, that's how it marketed itself. Many movies, it's part of Hollywood marketing right now. If you have a small something, you write it for the Oscars. Many people have done it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how the game is played. One more something. This movie costuming wise, there's an issue here. Because this movie is set in 1943. Why does this movie look like an Ikwalapo? It's not 16th century. 16th century is the 1500s. We weren't really colonized then. Most of this was under an African ruling elite. Why does this movie, if you're saying this is about set in Oyo, why did you have to go to the filming village and set it like it was in the 15th century? It shouldn't be like that. And indeed, his suit is not. His suit has some sort of silhouette of the 1940s, but it's not really a 1940s silhouette. But he is written to be in the suit because he is a man that has accepted the colonial ways, and he's supposed in the play. It's like it's supposed to be in the suit. That's an indicator of like this guy is more colonial. He has accepted the colonial way. It's just I just don't I find that if we're going to start writing things about Nigeria and we're going to submit it to the Oscars, we should also not how am I going to say it, absorb the colonial view of us into what we're going to submit. We should also stop trying to do that. We really a lot of our movies and our filmmakers really do seek out a lot of this like foreign, what's it called, praise, which is okay. It's not a bad thing. Money, they have the money that they can give us to or something. But we cannot be selling to them something that they've already sold to us. That's just one thing I want to point out with the costuming. I thought the costuming was beautiful. I just thought it was an inappropriate something. The design, the setting design was inappropriate for the time period that you were going for. Was very inappropriate. You could just have literally gone to a market in Nigeria, make sure every single person was wearing what's it called? More traditional, more like 1950s clothing, or just wearing traditional like things that they wear in Nigeria at that time. Look at the pictures of Nigeria at that time. Go to a market square that looks like that, just like regular market square in Nigeria nowadays. Just their costuming a little bit. That's what you could have done. But you didn't do that. But it's cool. You wanted to use the filming village. It's cheaper to use the filming village. That's understandable. Yeah, the soul of this movie is not there. One more, it's like Wole Soyinka, the character of the bride that gets to marry, right? He wrote this in the 40s or 50s. Wole Soyinka was never going to write like an instrument. Is understandable for the time, and we was okay. But you're adapting a play. This is 2022. you should at least have written something of giving this girl an hesitancy even in Wale Soyinka's play. And this is not, it doesn't write females very well. She is even giving some hesitancy of it, and this movie does not do that at all. Doesn't matter. That one does matter, but okay, continue. When we do see them wear the masquerade, right? I don't know how to say this, but there was something about this movie that made me feel a little bit like, why does she, the female actress, get the wide shot, the more streaming, the more orchestrated shot, right? The one that is when her husband leaves to go get the guy, to stop the Elesin Oba. She gets that orchestrated streaming shot, that long shot that comes out, that glamorous shot. Does anybody else? And she's not that. I guess she's important, but I don't know why she gets that shot. That's a shot that often it has meaning in film language, right? It's often like she's contemplating something. It's a contemplating shot. It's a shot before things go up. Usually it's main characters, important characters that get that type of orchestration shot. And that type of shot is not even given to the Elesin. Introspective shots, the shot that means introspection and all that, is not even given to the actual main character. That sweeping shot is not actually given to the actual main character. Nor is it even given to the Yaolode, the one that's supposed to be the one that is giving us the preventive, like the voice of like sort of reason, of the more contemplative character of telling the Elesin, although she didn't tell the Elesin this, something of like warning the Elesin of like, oh, you're taking your time in enjoying life. There are consequences to something. That's a very contemplative moment, right? She doesn't get a contemplative shot. She doesn't get the sweeping shot. We have more camera movements, more shot that seems more thought about. Whenever we go to Jane and Mr. Pilkins, right? Even I think Elizabeth mentioned it when we go to the colonial master's house. We get more shots, more dynamic shots of a movie, of what you kind of expect in the movie, than you get when we're focusing on the Elesin and his entourage and all those other people and all that thing. We don't get that. And it suffers the movie because we don't get that, and we don't see, as everybody's saying, I did not think that this man was never going to be ready for death. It seems like it was just loving life and it was ready to die this day. We don't get a discussion of death and the contemplativeness of death and the philosophy of death from the view of like a Yoruba philosophy of death, because that is very philosophical. Like many African traditions are just as philosophical, have long philosophical things just as much as the Asian ones do, and just as much as the Western ones do. But we are not doing that. Even the person that gets to talk about, gets to say the words that no man wants to die. It's difficult for a man to even prepare to die. It's not the Elesin that says it's the one that is actually preparing to die. It's none of the people that have been growing up with it that it's some foreign man that comes and says it. That dialogue is given to him. And it's very, very, very telling. It's very, very telling. And that's why you can hear it in everybody. Everybody is saying it. All the people are saying it. This movie, I can see it's made for the Oscars. we're probably not going to get nominated, but submit it anyway. But is it made in connection of like, and by the way, that's not a dig. Most movies that submit for the Oscars don't get nominated. Very good movies never got nominated, so it's not a dig. It's an Oscar. It's about eliminating things, and there's a lot of politics that go into it. But it's the thing about this thing that we're about to. A lot of production houses are about to want to bring Nigeria to the world. And I have no problem with that. But the problem is that I feel like a lot of the filmmakers, you need to go back and research. I know you can't get back, we can never get back pre-colonial views before the colonies comes, and nothing ever stays the same. Culture changes, whatever, at time and something. But we really need to stop buying in to tropes that has been sold to us, and then we're going to sell it back to the people. Why? What makes us? They already have it. They already sell these tropes every single time. And I said this because I have no more Abodu. She announced that she was going to help. She worked on that King Woman movie, right? That Woman King movie. It was, whenever you watch it, it's so obvious that it's an American movie. It's so obvious, like the guy is Yoruba. This is a Yoruba guy, and he's acting in Nollywood, and the way he's pronouncing his name was ridiculous. The movie is good. Go watch it. It's cool. King Woman, watch it. But we can't be selling what they've already sold to us back to them. You should ask the Koreans and the Chinese and the South. That's all. They do take in many of the things that is being sold to them about them, but they remix it and they change it a little bit. The same thing we have to do too. But don't say anything when Nigerians will see the movie. They will know. Nigerians will know that this movie has something about it that is not really good, that is not really feeling right. How can you have somebody speaking in Yoruba and then you have the British colonial master replaying and you don't even put like for 2 seconds, a 2-second strip on like show a translator?
All right. Okay. All right. Bring it home.
You know?
Bring it home.
That's what has already pointed it, and this I just wanted to show that was the reason why a lot of the things about this movie is that the movie was made for specifically to be sold to an Oscar market, not necessarily to be sold very much to a Nigerian thing, and like that's why it made it bad. That's why it made it bad, because they were focused on something so much that they forgot about the little details.
Okay. Mrs. C, what are you saying?
Okay. This might be a bit petty, but I thought the pronunciation of, and I was counting on this film to give me the right pronunciation, by the way, because I'm not Yoruba, I don't know what. But I think someone pointed out that it's a dialect problem, but it was jarring for the same person to be pronouncing the same word in different ways, especially a word that was used multiple times. That beard was atrocious. Every time I see it, it gets worse. Jide Kosoko's acting, when he was speaking English was atrocious. When he was speaking Yoruba, it improved, but when he was speaking English, I don't know what he was doing. This might be a bit nitpicky as well, but the district officer and his wife in front of the staff, and it just didn't seem to fit. It felt like I would see that so it didn't seem 1940s, right? It seemed 2000s, 2022, 2015, right? Just making out in front of people. It just didn't seem 1940s, in my opinion. I think people have mentioned the ball. I thought the ball was a little bit of a mess. Just because it seemed like there was a mismatch in the theme, and it might not seem like it, but they mentioned that it was a costume party, right? Hence the masquerade costumes. But then some of the guests looked like they were at a costume party, and some of the guests looked like they were at a masquerade, right? Like in regular ball gowns and just a mask. So it seemed like the theme of the ball was kind of confused and it looked a bit of a mess. Then I think we've flogged this horse a lot, but
which horse?
There are a lot of horses that have been flogged, but it didn't feel like a film. It didn't feel like it had been adapted into film. So a lot of things were missing. It didn't pack any. The most emotion I felt was irritation. I felt irritated that they were having a wedding, right? Because I was the only one when I was watching this film that had a sense of urgency for the Elesin's death, right? The villagers didn't seem to have the sense of urgency that I had. And, shouldn't this guy be dead now? Then what that irritation did I have? It was just irritation and how they responded to him, because I've talked about this before, in that they kept talking about him shirking his duty, that he's delaying this, we're not showing that he's stalling this. He seemed really proud to be doing this. He seemed really proud. This was an honor. This was I didn't sense any hesitation. It just looked like he was trying to chop life before he died. So I was irritated that everyone kept going, "Oh, you're terrible, you're awful, how dare you, how could you?" Right? It's like, but we were all there when they arrested him, right? And also it seemed like, anyway, I'll get to my questions. Let me just run through these things I had. I'm going to talk about the sex scene again. Why did he have his cap on during the sex scene? And I just have in my notes sex faces ? Because I'm kind of tired of our sex faces. I don't know what was going on there. And really, we could have done without that, right? I don't know who said if we can't do it, well, let's stop doing it. Because we had that whole sex scene, and then he comes out with the bloody cloth, right? We could have just had that. Could have just come out with the bloody cloth, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. And this is also kind of a story point. It's the whole talk about leaving his seed. I don't know how you realize on the last day on earth that, you know what, I might like to leave a seed with that woman over there tonight, right? Like, we have no idea if she's barren. We have no idea if she's ovulating. On her period. We don't know what's going on, right? I was like, okay, trying to leave seed tonight. You had a month. I had Mo was really gunning for that Oscar nom in my notes. But Vanessa has already pointed that out. I decided to forgive the conversation in the English and Yoruba conversation. I decided to let it slide as an artistic choice. An Oscar choice, but an artistic choice.
Artistic Oscar choice.
It was an artistic Oscar choice, and I thought I would allow that because I feel with things like that in storytelling. I do also respect that some Yoruba speakers have said that some of that Yoruba was really, really deep. And it was just so I feel like that allowing for that in storytelling required suspension of disbelief. And I don't think the film set up enough groundwork for us to do that.
Zero.
Yes. I don't think the film set up enough groundwork for us to do that. So that was disappointing. Every emotional scene that was supposed to be hit, I felt nothing. Just nothing. We've gone from him having the time of his life during the day, right? We have breasts in his face. He's got a new bride. This person is following him around. He's had this whole wedding. He's just come out with bloody cloth. And now we've all danced the ceremony, right? Like he's doing the chants. And I'm seeing these women crying. And I'm like, why are we crying? Like, I know typically if someone's dying, you cry. But like, there was nothing in the lead up to this that told me we should be crying at his death, right? This is a joyous day. This is a joyous day. Why are we crying? I felt absolutely nothing. The arrest was, I was like, that's it? That's the arrest? We're done? Anticlimactic, but I thought, okay, we're gonna go somewhere from here, right? This will pick up. I was wrong. When Dami's character is giving him the whole, so they arrest him and they take him past the ball. And the question is why? Why are we going past the entry to the ball, right? With this guy, why are we doing that? If it's on a stage, we know that they can't go anywhere else, right? Everything has to happen on this stage. Use your imagination, go somewhere else. But we do that, and then I have in my notes: is he high when they're arresting him? Because he was doing the chants and some of the chants, and maybe it's in a trance because maybe he's drank something. That's why he doesn't realize people are taking him, right? Because he goes willingly. No one makes a fuss. No one says anything. No one does anything, and he goes. But then we get to the courtyard, and he's throwing them off. Release me! And there's so much power in this. Some minutes ago, and went without saying anything. And I was like, why? What is this? Right?
What's going on?
What's going on? Pushes them up and he runs past and he sees his son, right? And he comes and he picks them up. He does this whole thing of, he sees this guy in chains, right? And I'm going to keep rehashing this because I'm watching this as a film. I forget what the play says, right? Why, if teenagers are dickheads, why is everyone treating this person that they've handcuffed and carted against his will like the scum of the earth who shirked his duty? Like the disgust that with which his child speaks to him. You haven't shown me that he has earned this disgust. What you've shown me is somebody who has been prohibited from doing his duty by external forces. Right? So that didn't work for me. Right? I'm like, I can get him feeling the shame, right? I can't get the pile on. But okay, cool. He's having this conversation with this guy in his prison cell. And what this film is giving us is, what people are saying is not what Wole Soyinka intended, and he said in his notes. This film is telling us it is Oyibo versus our culture, right? Who are you to tell us what to do? And they're having this whole back and forth. Now, I came into this film, I haven't seen it, right? I thought they were supposed to do it, to do the incantations and call death upon himself. Why is there so much time wasted in this cell having this conversation? The night isn't over, right? The whole time spent having that conversation, his son had done it, right? His son did it eventually. So it didn't seem like it even had to be done sharp. The villagers never had any sense of urgency. It's like, okay, no one told me that this was a great way. I wrote it as a written. Me, I'm talking about the film I watched, right? There was no attempt to enable the election still continue his duties, right? It was, I guess if his son hadn't gone to volunteer, what would have happened, right? But then everyone comes back and is still shaming him when it has been done. A great habit. This thing has been done. Why is he not stressing this man still, right? If someone has done it, his son will go and lead the king, right, to cross over. Why are we still doing all this? It just felt like, and I mean, I say this as someone who didn't dislike this film, by the way. I thought it was fine when I watched it, just flat, but I thought it was fine. What was it I was going to say? Yes. So I felt like this could have been a short. Because so much was repeated and dragged that I didn't think needed to be, right? So after the film, I thought, because when I finished the film, I thought everything here looks like what I saw in the trailers, right? So I went back to the trailers. I haven't read the book, right? There was no surprise to me throughout this film. And I'm not saying I wasn't looking for a twist, right? But I went back to the trailers and I'm like, okay, I was right. Everything I saw in the film was in the trailers, both trailers. The only thing I didn't see was that it was his son did it in his place. So me going in blind, right? I thought of reading the book and someone told me just watch the film first before you read the book so that you go in fresh eyes, yada, yada, yada. So I thought of going in blind, but I went in blind. So from the trailers, all I knew about this, pardon my literary ignorance, was this guy is supposed to die with the king, right? This is his last day on earth. He sees a beautiful babe. He marries her. From the trailer, I know she's the Iya Lodger's soon-to-be daughter-in-law, by the way, right? I know they arrest him. I know they take him away. So I thought there was more than this happens, they take him away. So I'm watching this whole thing thinking all of this is the setup for the film. But what I thought was the setup happened to be the film, which, as you can imagine, was disappointing for me, right? Because I thought everything was a setup. Pardon me, I hadn't read the book. I didn't know. But having everything in the trailer be in the film was anticlimactic for me. So, yeah.
Bring it home.
More questions and answers, right? I haven't read the play, but hearing what the people who have read the play are saying are the themes and the points of the story, also hearing the dialogue versus what the film has shown me, I don't think it did justice to the play. Those were the things I didn't like about it, basically.
Oh, just that?
Yeah, just one or two things.
All right, okay.
Don't forget TFR's list.
Yes, there are a couple of other people. Yes, so a lot said there. We'll get to a couple of things, but Deji, do you want to say what thing? What you thought about Elesin Oba? Deji, you there? Cool. Ifechukwu, do you want to say about Elesin Oba? Ifechukwu. Wait, can people hear me? All right.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Go ahead. What did you think? You weren't here for the good, so you can tell us good and bad, anything. Ifechukwu.
Oh, okay. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
It's just exactly what she just said, because I felt and a movie. So I get it that Wale probably doesn't want people to divert from the whole play and everything. But for them to make it a movie, he obviously gave his rights. Okay, you can produce this as a movie. I had to go back to read the play after watching the movie, because I was like, am I watching a stage play or am I seeing a movie? And that was my problem. The emotions, like there was nothing, just like you said, there was literally nothing for me to feel. It felt like an acting. I kept fast forwarding. If that movie was 2 hours, I bet I saw it for like an hour, 15 minutes, because a lot of scenes were not making sense. How exactly were the white people able to understand the Yoruba? And in 1940s, how is that old man able to understand English just like that? There was just a lot of question marks for me. And I didn't really understand the essence of Joke Silva and the other woman in that movie. It just felt like, okay, this is the problem I usually have with Ebony life. There will always be that one or two people that they don't really have anything to do in this movie, but well, we just have to put them. People know them to sell our movie. We just have to put them. But one good thing I would say that the movie did do well, which of course they always do well, is in terms of cinematography. That was good. I'm going to lie about that. It was good. Even though sometimes I'm like, okay, but They did well in that. But my major problem was just the emotion. The movie was emotionless. The question marks were just so many. And that day Amy's suit, that is suits in 21st century, not suits for that century. It was too fitted. It was too fine for that era. And yeah, that's just basically it. There's just a lot, but let me just end here.
All right. Thank you. All right. Femi, what did you like and did not like from Elesin Oba? Femi, are you there? Okay. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and with my dislikes. Okay, so I think Mrs. C has touched on and a lot of people have said something like it fell flat. And I think this is as a result of there's a bad combination I feel this film has where it doesn't build the world we're introduced to well. It doesn't introduce the rules very well, whilst also it doesn't have any tension. So right from people have talked about like all right, so like when the villagers didn't really know what is going to see when Elesin decides that he wants to marry on the day of his death. It's like there's no tensions. Like imagine if again I'd say imagine if the villagers were like shocked that oh my god, is this going to be done in time? Is this going to cause another wahala? Like, but like it just keeps on moving. Like there's no real consequence to anything happening. Like things are just happening. And then you get to again like where it's not explaining the rules that about this world that we're in. And like so like it feels like you're just learning about things in this movie all the way through till the end. Like so again, like maybe they assume that you know this, but like, you know, can the Elesin's son take the Elesin's position? Like that's something that we don't know until Shafi even says that his son refused to do it whilst he was still alive. I guess that was for the twist. I don't know. But like it's just like there's no point in learning about that at that point when like you're just going to do a reveal of, oh, look, you see, he did it. I'm like, okay, I didn't even know that was a possibility to be done. So there's nothing to go to like make you wait and see, oh, what will be the consequences if this happens? Even to be honest, like even fulfilling his duties, a great havoc. What the hell is a great havoc? What does that mean? Like, you need to give the audience something, right, that makes her go, oh, we don't want this thing to happen. Or like, that makes somebody invested in the supposed, all the actions and the reactions. But like, things just, again, like they keep on happening. And I'm like, oh, I guess this can happen now. Oh, I guess this can, oh, so then, so it all just looks like setup. And the payoff isn't really there. Also, so that's anyhow. Anybody want to say anything? Anybody want to say anything about the way the story unravels or the way the story is told? The production for me is a real letdown. The sound I've mentioned previously is bad. Is just not professional. They're like mic rubs during I said the DME hug. The sound design is just not great. It's mixed. It's not mixed properly at all. Yeah, sometimes there are edits that done mid-sentence, like you can hear somebody was in the middle of saying something and they just get cut off. Like, all right, all the people who are going to talk, all the people who are going to say that you don't know anything about the book, please answer this one. This is the one I want you to answer. How do we explain bad sound? How do we explain bad editing? How do we explain cinematography? Pointed this one, that sweeping cinematography cinematography. It's not good in this. It's just not. Like, you can have nice shots, but you have to understand what all those shots are supposed to mean. They're like shots where there are deep, like they have like really all this incredible depth of field where like it's a close up and the background's really blurred, and it doesn't make any sense. There's no point to it, and I'm just like, why have we decided to do a close up at this point in time? So like, which I am obviously, and I don't understand the play. My IQ is not high. How can I understand the play? But the technical of this film falls way shorter than Anikulapo, which I didn't even particularly love. But like, Anikulapo had better sound. Anikula, I think, was one of the things I actually did point out during my things. Like, it had better sound. It wasn't perfect, but it had better sound. It had better sound design. This is those things. And again, if at the very least, I haven't just spoken about that beard. If at the very least, right, we can't send. At the very least, we can't like get rid of lapel mics rubbing each other, hitting each other at this point. Man, I don't know. I don't know. But I didn't find this. I it's really a mixture of lack of tension, like, and not setting up things properly. If you like this film, I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad for you. I wish you well, and I hope you continue to like as many films as possible. It's good. It's good to have different opinions. It's all right. It forms a healthy society sometimes. But yes, but that's my view. I don't think you can have a view on there's something that can't tell me that the sound was great in this. I mean, you can tell me, but I can just show you where, it's not, and all the mixing and the editing stuff. But yeah, that's my palaver about this. All right. So we'll do summaries. Just don't forget you can rate and review this on Nolly Data. It's a site that has all the movies. You can check some of the people behind some of your favorite films or your not so favorite. Have a look at that. We'll do summaries. Just to say, next week we'll be discussing Ayuma Fair. Again, one of the best Nigerian movie I've seen, in my opinion. And a lot of other people's too. Some people don't like it apparently, but we'll be discussing that next week. All right, so let's do summaries. Let's start with Vanessa.
It obviously has spouted a lot of dialogue. Honestly, which quite frankly, at the end of the day, watching it didn't seem to deserve all the dialogue, but severely underwhelming. Not even I couldn't manage a whelm. Just, yeah. But I mean, you can watch it because support Nollywood, and we shall continue to do so.
Here. Support Nollywood. Elizabeth, what is your summary about?
My summary is very hard. I think because this was Biyi's last hurrah, it's and because it is also very underwhelming, and also because this movie cost so much ruckus for Nollywood, for the industry, for like a month straight, and then it comes out to this underwhelming performance. It's summarizing it for me feels like writing it. This is how not to interpret, to adapt a movie. For whatever creative choices that you choose to, whether you want to show it, whether you want to do it in stage formats or an audience facing, for whatever reason, please, if you think this is the route you want to go for, at least be consistent, right? Because I was very skeptical about the lighting, the choice. Then watching it wasn't so bad for me, especially with the symbolism with Moonlight. But the problem I had was the lack of consistency in this creative choice. You cannot say that, oh, look, I'm going to go into this is what I'm trying to portray, and then every time an enclosed space is shown, you go full cinema, and it stops being audience facing. So with the lack of conflict setting, the lack of motivation setting, when you're getting everything through dialogue, it doesn't. It again makes you want to rethink the creative choice of going into this film. Um, Also, when we choose to make thematical movies all the time, it could be in many of them. You take something well thematic, and then you end up gutting it. Well, I want to use the word. I hope you get what is coming for you, but really, what you end up with is a soulless movie such as this. So it's quite sad again that this is B's last hurrah. Unfortunate. That's it for me.
Thanks, thanks for those bets. People, we didn't get Bemi's one, and also TFR.
I can talk now, please. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Bemi.
I actually have a fight with my wife. She's on my neck. What's the problem with the Elesin Oba and everything? So I'm sorry you are doing summaries now, but can I just quickly go through my own review?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So looking at that movie, it just brings to light the problem we are having, which is to do it as in shooting a movie. The director could be allowed to be very creative and put in some things, but at least it has to have an historical element that is true. Now, I've never seen a marketplace in a palm tree plantation. Same way Anikulapo 2 projected Oyo with a fence that is so perforated a lion or an elephant could go through it. And that's supposed to be the Oyo, the big empire. And you won't be surprised that when we tell stories like this, the white people will remix it and say it was. And if you check the Warrior King, they portrayed Oyo people dressed like Fulanis. Oyo warriors without tribes. That is the effect. So when you show a marketplace inside a palm tree plantation, it's just wrong in 1943 or 1940s. Then coming into the market itself, you would see a woman that is making a direct clothes. People don't make their wares where they sell their wares. It's making their wares in wherever they make it, maybe in their factory, at the back of their house. It's not in that same market that you have people making what they want to sell. They bring wares to the market. And I'm surprised that the market went from daybreak till dawn, from dusk to as in from dawn to dusk. Don't they go home? Does the yellow day sleep in the market? So I'm surprised that. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Elesin Oba came into the market, saw Madam Shafi, saw a beautiful damsel he wants to marry, got married to the lady in the market. Madam Shafi talked to the lady's family in the market. And some people might want to say, no. The location looks the same, but it was different. But remember that when Jide Kosoko came to arrest him, he said, Inu Isoyelowa. And in English, it means is in that stall, that means they were still in the market. Now, I actually went through some people's review online, and there was a cinematographer that was saying, oh, Biyi was trying to kind of blend stage acting and movie together. And I'm saying, oh, that's beautiful. Then he should have made it consistent across all line. So why is the white man in a different place when he went to the ballroom for his party? They should have made it the same location now. You should have had the continuous consistency. And talking about the Oyibo man, I have never seen an Eku. I grew up in Ibadan, and I actually schooled at Osun State, Ede. So I'm lucky to have culture rich, where Ibadan is a little bit diluted because it has turned cosmopolitan and a bit urban. But Ede, Osun State still maintains the few night markets. A market that is predominant, as in it's only you only go there at night, and it's right in front of the palace. Baby girl, stop now. Stop. I'm talking, please. Sorry. I'm sorry, please. It's my wife, she's getting overly excited. So I don't know how they could put on an Eku, which is the man, and do role playing, sexual role playing in an Eku that is supposed to be what a Yoruba man will wear and do acrobatics for hours and sweat, and it's from generation to generation. So did they first dry clean the Eku before wearing it, or they were able to bear the smell and stench and still do sexual role play with it? It's just not real. It just doesn't make sense. And that's what I see about the movie. It's more like a fantasy movie or a sci-fi. It doesn't really bring to reality the culture of Yoruba or Oyo of that time. Now, another part of it that struck me is this: why are they blaming Elesin Oba? He looked as if he wanted to die. He was excited that he wanted to die. In all his conversation, he was talking about how he wants to do it. From doing that by another person, not by his own will. So why were they abusing him and giving him, as in they were so mean to him? Except, I haven't read the book. Except maybe in that book, it portrayed him as trying to run from that responsibility, stalling, but it wasn't portrayed in that movie. It wasn't stalling at all. And I'm surprised that the white man wasn't shocked when they brought their son as often like that, because you are someone that was trying to stop a ritual suicide, yet a dead body was brought in, the son of the person you are trying to stop from killing himself, and you didn't show any shock. You were just there, you were just looking. What does that mean? And in the ballroom, the Oyibo and the wife came in with their Eku as their costume, and we have aboriginals there, as in people that are Yoruba indigenes there. So why didn't they show surprise? The white men wearing a Gugu uniform on a norm? So these are questions that seeks for answers, and just shows that, one, they didn't research well. Two, 80% of the movie was done in the same location inside that, because I don't want to call it a market. That's not how a market looks like. That is a plantation. And I think for me, 5 over 10. Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Thank you,
Grammy.
Remy.
I'm glad
I'm glad we didn't miss out on you.
we missed out on your commentary. Very well articulated. All right. So let me read out. I forgot to read TFR's dislike. TFR says, I found Mr. and Mrs. Spilkins annoying the way they deliver their lines. Second, Brimer's performance was not good. Third, the prison scene, I don't know. There's more of those things with stakes. Jide Kosoko was too animated in his performance. finally, the worst script of all, the worst culprit of all, that God-forsaken beard. All right, so yes, Tiff are not particularly happy about these things. I will say, like, it's something I wanted to piggyback on, but like Mr. C went on for a bit, but no. But there was a thing you said about it's actually more to even including like lack of tension. So like there's a point where there's two scenes where I still struggle to understand what the point of this is. Like the scene where the Mr. Pilkin and the white dude meets Elesin in prison, and that conversation, like, okay, given what you know about both of them, you know that Elesin doesn't want to be, you know, Mr. Pilkins is trying to keep them from doing savage stuff, right? I want you to go and watch that scene again and tell me what you learn from that scene. Absolutely nothing is the answer. Is they just keep on rehashing about, maybe it's supposed to be like some Oscar worthy, I don't know, but like the dialogue wasn't particularly that interesting to me. And again, it wasn't moving the plot forward. And then you have almost the same thing with Shafi's character and the election as well. It's like, you get it. She's disappointed in him. And that's all that she keeps on displaying. I'm disappointed in you. And the guy's like, yep, I'm ashamed of myself. And then they just go back and forth. And it's just like 10 minutes of that. So, also, the elections like position, I don't even know what I felt like maybe, I don't know whether it was just popular. I don't know how respected or how much power he had, because like he seemed to like just get what he wanted. But like the way villagers just snapped back and start talking to him like he's like like he's like he was the one smelling rats. Like it felt very weird. Again, it just felt like, oh, I'm learning new things. I guess you can speak to this guy. Anyhow, it didn't seem like, just seemed like I was just learning new things about the film until the end in ways that, again, they weren't set up. Sorry, but let's go back to our summaries. Shagun, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me quickly just fit this in, because it gets very tiresome when we come on here and we keep saying the same thing, and it's almost as if we keep saying the same thing to the same people. In Nollywood now, presently in Nollywood now, we have three groups. We have three groups. We have the gatekeepers, the big gatekeepers. We have the indie filmmakers, and then we have people that are in the middle that are doing the right thing and they are listening. An example is the Trino Motion Pictures, which I'll go back and watch their stuff. But we've gotten to a point where it started to get very dangerous for the big Nollywood studios, where I don't think we should I don't think we should take them seriously until they come back and and I think they have to come back to shore, because they've gotten so big, they can't build anymore. So as long as we're making the money, let it be going. And it's the same thing that is happening to everything, almost everything Nigerian. When we look at the way we do with sports, football, even music, we are riding on virility of our product. Now Nigerian music is on the rise, but the artists themselves are not putting in the work. So you will see some performances. The music is banging, but when you now see the pack out stadiums or pit sport, and we are getting to a point where your music can only go so far. You get to a point where it will just be a shame. You cannot perform what you have recorded, and that is what is happening with big Nollywood. Nollywood will continue to put out these things instead of paying attention to all these details. As far as this Elesin Oba is concerned, they missed out on an opportunity to create something new, because this in itself is new. The same way they came out to it, the same way new type of filmmaking. This Elesin Oba could have been that thing, because immediately I saw it from the intro, I said, okay, this is different. This is like a stage play, but it's film. and I was waiting for it to just deliver that, but it did not, and they missed out on it. It felt very flat, and it's apparently been done. It didn't even occur to me the people that produced it. These people are notorious for not listening, and it's I think for me, and the way not going trend. And right now, I've lost all hope, and all my hope is on the young upcoming filmmakers, and then those one or two other people those one or two other production houses that actually listen to feedback and implement it in their work. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Shagun. Cynthia, please share your summary.
Okay, yes. First of all, I think I want to say, sorry, I want to say thank you to Bimi. So he echoed the feeling that I know in my likes I said I liked it, but I felt like there were flashes of so many things. Yes, so in my summary, like I said, I know a lot of people are using is a stage play adaptation as an excuse. That's why we will not feel emotion. I'm just here to repeat it again that I also believe that if it was just a one student that acted the stage play for us, we would have felt emotion. Okay, the reason why we did not feel emotion is because is either they were too lazy or they lack the talent or they lack the imagination. It has nothing to do with stage play adaptation. Then I did not like the movie. I would not watch it again because it's not possible. I would not recommend it. It's not me that it would disgrace to my friends. And finally, I'm quite disappointed that this was the movie that caused the Oscar chaos. Usually, my timeline used to be about brain barrier, but for some reason, there were a lot of chaos regarding Oscars, and it was very, very much disappointing that it was women that were putting women up to be slut shamed and body shamed during the whole chaos. And at the ending, the product was very, very underwhelming. I think, and I'm begging that we should not try this again. Please, let's not try this again. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Cynthia. I'm just going to read out TFR summary, but I do not believe it's a bad film. Recommended for literature and English students. I believe that was supposed to be said in sarcasm. Hopefully you picked it up. All right. Anika, please tell us your overall thoughts of
First, I want to thank Bemi. I think he said what I was trying to say more directly and straightforward than I was. Thank you. This movie is not a bad movie. It's just lackluster. And I think that's what Elizabeth said. It's a lackluster movie. It's quite unimaginative in the way it adapted the stage play to a film. It is another Oscar bait movie. Okay, we know them. We watch them. It's cool. It's cool. Like, yeah. The only annoying thing about the movie is like it's quite obvious that this movie did not do the research necessary. It wants to sell Nigerian next door to white people because again, this movie was primarily made to be an Oscar movie. And Oscar movies, they're not selling it to us only; they're selling it to white people. So, okay. It's annoying because you didn't do the research. You're just basically selling the misinformation that they sold to us. That whole 1940s and looking like a 16th century thing really pissed me off. Like, if you're going to make a movie, let's start separating and saying and giving something, because many people still think that Africa is still in like the 16th century. Okay? If you so much care about what white people think, at least make them know that you're not in the 16th century. But whatever. So, as I always say, if you have the time and you want to sit down and watch a movie, you can watch what you want to watch. If you want to find something more interesting to watch, go find something more interesting to watch. Yeah. It's whatever.
All right, thanks, Anika. I think if it can, Bemi basically did a summary because they didn't do their goods. Except if there's any small thing you want to add.
Yes, so yes, there's something I want to add. And when you talk about being intentionally done for the Oscars and intentionally done for the white audience, and I think it's true. And I think Oyinkan just gave me the missing link between the nude scene, the unnecessary nude scene in what's this movie? I beg your pardon. This Adelong. Yes, Anikulapo. God bless you. The unnecessary nude scene in Anikulapo and the one in this movie too. Extremely unnecessary. It's as if they just put it on your face. It's as if it's an afterthought. It's as if it's a rumor. Now think it's intentional. I think those are the criteria Netflix gives them. And if you check the one that this lady is in, Nancy Sime, series 2, I think is that Blood Sisters or something that featured Nancy Sime. There's also a nude scene there. So I think it's like they are selling out. They just want to just make the money. They just want to just be there. And they want to just do it on the terms of those Oyinbos. But it's going to backfire. Because I saw Kule Afolayan when he was crying that his movie wasn't nominated and he was tweeting, I'll keep doing my stories. I'll keep telling our stories because we are not appreciating our own. Other people will tell our stories in the wrong way. But these guys are already telling our stories in the wrong way. They are selling out. They are just lying. Okay, now let's go to a full Hollywood movie. Woman King.
Gbemi, as much as I want to hear, we're supposed to be doing summaries of Elesin Oba, and then we can have this other conversation next week.
All right. Well, it's just a waste of time. So if you want to watch it, just fast forward it because the first 30 minutes was done in a location. And there was just roaming around. It's not something anybody should watch. My wife slept halfway now, and she's the Nollywood chairwoman. She slept halfway. At least she used 2 days to watch a movie she has been anticipating for. So it's just a waste of time. That's just it.
All right, I'm gonna recommend having in one location. I think there's interesting ways to do it, but maybe this one didn't do it like that. And yeah, all right. If do you have summary?
Oh, okay. Let me add to what he says. Yes, I actually think it's a Netflix thing, the whole nudity and everything, because this year I started watching K-dramas and I noticed that if you will observe K-dramas on Netflix this year has really South Korea and all that. And I noticed the same thing happened there. And it might surprise you to know that they are actually a step above what we are doing. We are just still showing small breasts. They have already moved to the next step, and I think it's a Netflix thing. It's not a Nigerian movie thing. Also, I think the problem most Nollywood movies, such as the case of Elesin Oba and some other movies, which let's just not mention them, is you want to tell a story someone wrote. The problem is they always never sit down to think and okay, this is how I want to tell this story. You just want to make money. The aim is money. And most of these films I'm referring to are Netflix movies. They just want to make money because they know that we are going to view it. And they don't care. The truth of the matter is there's a particular Netflix movie, it's a Nollywood movie, which I got deep information about that. Okay, the aim was not really about how much do people like this movie. So it's more like people will watch it, whether it makes sense or not, and we are going to make money, and they'll give us another contract. And that's the problem. They most times don't care about you and I. They just want to make money.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. He's on summaries, guys. But thank you. I would say you know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to make money from a film. It doesn't. To me, I think that can be almost part of the. Something like if when we say something like, "Oh, this is wrong with the film," and somebody says, "Oh, have you read the book or have you it doesn't mean that the film is necessarily bad. I'm sure there are some films that were made to make money that have been good or that have been enjoyable, so I wouldn't say that that's this thing. But
No, no. Of course, I want to make money, but in the process of wanting to make money, don't make me question my intelligence. That's
yeah,
just my problem.
so that's the bad. So that's the part. That's the part you have a problem with. Yes, they're putting out products you deem subpar. That's fine. All right, Mr. C, your summary.
I watched it with my mother and my brother, and they liked it. They enjoyed it. I didn't. I honestly, I didn't find it offensive. I thought it was just fine. It was just it. It's
Go on, land it.
I'm trying to avoid sounding like I'm targeting certain studios, but it's just, am I surprised? No. Like, am I surprised that it didn't have much soul to it? No. But it seemed like everything was there. There was a play already there. There was a story. It had the makings of things that would have been good. Like I was quite excited for the story, to be fair, and I was warned to manage my expectations, which I'm glad I did. But yeah, there were so many things that were there. There were strong actors there, and it was just still managed not to make it land. So that was kind of disappointing. But it's not the worst, frankly. So there's that.
Hey, I'd say, Cynthia, why do you have your hand up?
Oh yeah, because they kept saying the nude is a Netflix thing, and I don't know. I just feel like except Netflix is putting it in the contract, I do not believe it's a Netflix thing. I believe it's just the mindset of we need to put nude to be recognized like in a global way. So I don't think it's a Netflix. I just think it's their own mindset. They think that nude is what is putting them behind. That everybody have nude in their movie. So if Nollywood puts nudes, the whole world will clap for them and their movie will be recognized. Forgetting that people that put nude have a very good story. So I don't believe it's a Netflix thing. So that's why I had my hands up.
Okay, all right. Thank you. No, I mean, like, I guess that's an important pushback, and just only in the sense that these are all theories, and nobody knows what's going on in the heads of these people. With I do some theories that are probably more likely than others, but just to say we don't actually know what's going on in the people's heads when they are putting the nudity. All I'm saying, it's not done well. I don't know why you're doing it. It's just not really being done well at this point. Okay, so my summary is, yeah, this is a 95-minute film. It took me like 2 hours to watch this film, because I kept on thinking I was missing. Now the rewind, I was like, oh no, I didn't learn anything from that from this scene. It didn't really have any new information to give me, and it just kept on happening, especially towards the end. And then I thought I missed something. But yes, that happened quite a lot. So if, again, like, say what you want about, yes, maybe somebody did not understand the story. Like, people have called this a masterpiece. My good brother or sister in Christ, you did not have lapel mics like rubbing against. It's like it's a very basic and like very easily avoidable error. You do not have that in your masterpieces where somebody's mic is rubbing against. In a hug, the reason why I say it's a hug, because a hug is something that you know is going to happen. And so placing the mic in a position where that doesn't happen, or just editing around it, should be something that should. So, from a technical point of view, this film is very far from a masterpiece. It has many shortcomings in it, and from the technical aspects. I thought I mentioned editing as well, and other sound issues. Cinematography is not. It's like the use of some certain shots are just confusing. I'm not sure why you have sweeping shots. I'm not sure why like the drone shots didn't seem to match. It's like you're doing a play, doing a film. Anyway, all these shots were not matching in my opinion. And then, I just didn't have anything going for it. It didn't seem coherent. It didn't feel anything like this came from. It didn't feel like this came from a fully understood mind. It just felt scattershots at places and with different ideas, but none of them merging together all to become one film. But anyway, that's that. Next week we will be doing, what did I say? The best Nigerian film I have ever. The best man. No, we're not doing that. No, you want to expose me? No, yes. No. I know that's what you wanted to do. No, we're not being exposed. I'm not being exposed. I
And
best Nigerian.
I hope for your sake this movie is good. I hope it's going to. Okay.
Watch Prime. It's on Prime right now. Eyemofe is on Prime. It's the best Nigerian film that has been made, in Mr. Steve's opinion. Yes.
It's okay. It's okay.
We will talk about it next week. I know some people will not like it. I'm sure of it. It will not be everybody's cup of tea. And that's fine. Please come next week and we shall discuss it. But thanks to everybody who came on and who spoke and who listened. If you want data, it would be helpful. If not, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.